Hello, check. Hello, check. Hope everything is fine. Hello, everyone. Hello, Rebecca. Thank you all for joining.
How you doing?
Yes. Yeah, very fine. How are you doing there?
I'm doing great, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I can
No,
see that
I
on your,
mean,
yeah, I can see that on your wall as well. So thank you so much for joining with us today. And today is, I think it's our third or fourth podcast together on YouTube and Twitter and everywhere. So thank you all for joining with us today. And this is nothing ordinary. We are creating a platform for you, especially for today. It's for you to ask the questions to a Zionist, two Zionists here, but the privileged one is the Zionist Jew sitting here in front of you. You can ask her any hard-hitting questions to her directly, and you can post the questions on the comment box here. Or after we have a few questions in the beginning, I will just hand over the phone number so that you can call if you are from India, or whether you are from outside, you can call onto that number and I can connect directly to Rebecca and she can answer you. So this is the plan for today. So are you ready, Rebecca?
I am now, yes.
Okay. And before we get into the real business, I just wanted to make sure, what's your nationality?
I'm Israeli. What's my nationality?
Yeah.
I have an Israeli passport.
So you are an Israeli national, and what's your citizenship?
Israeli.
Israeli. So is that the column that you will fill with Israeli when asked for your nationality?
Yes.
And is it just for the Jew, or what about the Arabs who live in
Everybody who has,
Israel?
well, if you want to use if you live in Israel, then you have Israeli passport, Israeli citizenship, then you use Israeli as your nationality. I think that's how it works.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not just
how is it
for the
Indians
Jews
who are Muslims?
I know that, but there are some. Yeah. So there are some folks who roam around and who say that in Israel, it's the citizenship is just for the Jews, and the nationality is just for the Jews, and for the Arabs it's not the nationality, it's just the citizenship that's being offered. And these are the kind of wrong arguments that they try to make, and they fool the people here. So do you have anything for you to tell to them?
Well, Arif, when you were like Muslim, and you're not even Hindu, so do you, like, when you choose nationality, do you choose like, what do you choose, like Pakistani?
I understand. But there are some people who doesn't understand that basic thing. So I thought of making it clear in the beginning itself. So yeah. So today we have a few questions for you, and I will start with a few, and after that, as I said, we'll hand over the questions, the chance for the audience. So here, the first thing is the charge Israel is facing. That's about the apartheid charge. So Israel is an apartheid state. That's the number one charge which is being put forward against Israel. So what's your take on that? Is Israel an apartheid state?
Well, there is a lot of discrimination against Jews in Israel. Yes. There are a lot of places Jews cannot go because they're Jews. Because, like, if you go to places that are sensitive, Muslims can kill you. So I would say, like everywhere where is a Muslim majority, like Muslim ruled areas, it's an apartheid. So yeah, and in Israel there are places like that. So
can you give an example?
Like Iran is an apartheid, Jordan is an apartheid. Like every place where Muslims rule, everybody who is not Muslim, they're like set as a second class. And one place like that is, for example, the Temple Mount, which is the holiest place for Jews. And Jews are only allowed to go to the Temple Mount in the morning and not even pray there because the Muslims might get crazy. And it's like it's
city of Jerusalem, old Jerusalem.
Yeah. So the Temple Mount, but also like other areas where it's like Jews are not allowed to go because Muslims might kill them, and there is enough like security.
Okay. So if we agree to the fact that Israel is an apartheid state, the apartheid is faced by Jews, by the Muslims or the Arabs in Israel.
It's everywhere. Like everywhere there Muslims have authority, it's an apartheid against Jews and
Okay.
Christians.
So apart
Yeah.
from the Jerusalem, the Old City, and the Temple Mount, do you have any other place within Israel which has such a problem like the apartheid, the discrimination by
Well,
the Arabs?
yeah, there are a lot of places like in the West Bank and things like that, like places that, and like so what happened, for example, in Hebron. Hebron is one of the 4 holy sites of Judaism. So the 4 Jewish centers are Tiberias, Tveria, Hebron, which is Khalil in Arabic, but so Tiberias, Tzfat, and Jerusalem. And what happens was that in the 1920s, the Arabs, like the Muslims, slaughtered all the Jews who lived in Hebron, like they killed them and drove them out. So, and there are a lot of places like that in the West Bank. So,
But West Bank is
and
something which is being called as the settlement settled by
but
Israel.
but
And that's a
it's
question which is
everything
coming up
there.
for you.
Everything is there is Jewish. Like if you go and look at the archaeology and things like that, there are like, it's Jewish. It's 100% Jewish, and there was an influx of immigration by Muslims when the country like. So for a long time, like under the Ottoman Empire, Jews were not allowed to live in Israel, and they didn't have citizenship, so they didn't count. So when they like said, okay, who are the citizens? Like Jews didn't count because they were not allowed to have citizenship because they were Jews. But Jerusalem was always like majority Jewish, and there was like a Jewish people who live there forever. But whenever the Muslims take over, like they slaughter everyone and kill them. But those are Jewish places. So yeah, like there is this discrimination against Jews until now, because there is also the wider Muslim world, and there are billions and we are a minority. So
Okay.
it's very hard to fight that.
Okay, coming to the point. So there are Arabs living in Israel. There are Druze living in Israel.
Right.
There are even atheists
Yeah.
and many other Christians living in Israel, and there are many other people.
Right.
Bedouins are living
Right.
in Israel. So how about they becoming an MP in your Knesset and becoming even the chance for an Arab Muslim
for
living in
MPs,
Israel to become the Israeli prime minister?
So even when it comes to being MPs, there are like MPs in the Knesset that represent the Muslim Brotherhood, but far right Jews are not allowed to run. So they did
Okay.
like not allowed to several parties that they deemed to be too hardcore Jewish were not allowed to run and get elected to the Knesset, while the same kind of parties, when it comes from Muslims, are allowed to run.
Okay. So can a Muslim Arab living in Israel become Israeli prime minister?
Yes, even if they're a Muslim Brotherhood person.
They can become the Israeli prime minister one
Yes,
day if they.
which I think it's wrong, honestly speaking. I think it's
right or wrong. They can become.
They can, but I think if you represent the Muslim Brotherhood, you should not be allowed to serve as a.
Otherwise, if he is that Muslim is a pro-Israeli and he is someone who is standing for the Jewish cause and coexistence and peace and all.
Yeah, but those
is there any
Muslims
problem?
like usually, well, they serve in a like they're part of other parties like the Likud, like almost every party has Arab members. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no apartheid.
There is against Jews, I told you.
Against Jews, okay. So the apartheid is against Jews, not against the Arabs or the Muslims.
Well, because nobody, like Jews are a minority, nobody's gonna cry for us, right? About us being discriminated.
Okay, I got it. So I think that makes it clear. And for the viewers, you please make note of your doubts and your additional questions on this, and you can join or you can post it here. And to get our attention, you can just make some sort of payment or something like that, so that it will get our attention. So otherwise, you can just wait and you can join for the call at the end. You have the two options. You can take any of them. So let's get into the second question. Okay. So the second question is about the genocide label against Israel. So there are several human rights bodies, and even very recently, there was a report which was not reported by the UN properly about something which came out as 14,000 babies going to get killed, a kind of a genocide, if they were not given proper food in 48 hours. Malnutrition, yeah, in 48 hours. So what do you have to say on this charge against Israel, the genocide charge? And what about the kids who didn't get killed in 48 hours?
I mean, it wasn't what the report said. The report said there is a fear of malnutrition. And malnutrition just means like not enough calcium or something in a year. Not like 40,000 are gonna die tomorrow morning, which is insanity. And it's so easy, like it's incredible story about like how you can make up stuff and just run it. And by the way, when I'm so I feel like it's so annoying to me because like when I like the Jews went through a genocide. I don't know if you heard of it, the Holocaust. So because it was a real genocide, people did whatever they could to save their children and babies, and that also meant that they would put them in churches, right? Jewish babies. They would give them to nuns to save them. They would send them abroad to a different country to save them. They would do whatever they could so that they could save them. And and I really think that, you know what, like if you really think like the situation in Gaza is very complicated because they actually turned the whole place to a military base. Every household has weapons in it. And it's like, and not only that, those houses that were not like marked as a terrorist, they themselves, Hamas and the Gazans, they booby trapped them. So basically nothing is livable. And I think like if you really care about your children that much, right, and you think that something like that is happening, like talk about that. Talk about how do you save the children, because we can all agree like if nobody wants to take the Palestinians, because wherever the Palestinians go, you can also see like did you see the footage from Malaysia? Like they took several hundreds and they went to the central hall and started like burning shit up, and like they're terrorists. They are terrorists. But I get it that a lot of people feel sorry for the children and babies. So get them out of there. Honestly speaking, get them out of there. If people really cared about their lives so much, get them out of where? Out of there. The Jews who went through, and it's not a genocide, it's a war, right? You didn't have to have a fucking missile factory in every effing house. That doesn't make sense. That every house in Gaza, it's insanity. Like there's so much footage that proves that. Like and also like I know like you've met my brother. He's the nicest, cutest. I think you've met him. Did he?
Yeah.
He's like the most gentle soul in the world. And every time he has to, by the way, and he served in Gaza.
I miss him too much.
Yeah, he's so cute. He's a lot more gentle than I am. Like he's gentle. Yeah. And he served in Gaza as well. And
soft spoken. He doesn't speak like you. You are rude at times.
Yeah, he is not. He's cute. And it's like he also has like when he monitors that, he's like, you know, every time something happens and says like, you know, it hurts my soul. Like I hate seeing that. I hate seeing people suffer. Like I don't like, but we literally have no choice. There's like every home there is a weapon factory. It's insanity. So since it's like that, just get the kids out, get the children out, maybe save them somehow, because they use the tunnels. There are no shelters. The tunnels are only for terrorists. So get the kids out if you care about them. Get them out.
But there's an allegation or a charge against Israel in this thing that is about the blockades against
What blockade?
the truck
Nobody wants
blockades.
them. No, there are no truck. I wish there was, seriously, because what they do is, you saw how many people the Hamas terrorists shot. You know, you spread the aid, and then the terrorists, the Hamas people come and take it away from them. And by the way, that's something that happens everywhere where you give aid at, in a lot of places. There are also similar stories from Africa, where I heard somebody say, yeah, I went there and we donated, like we gave children shoes. And then the next day we went to the market, and all the shoes we had donated, we saw them in the market. And apparently what happens is that the kids don't ever get those shoes, because after they give those Christmas gifts, right, in Africa, the local terrorist groups, they come and they collect all the shoes, and then they sell them in the market to make profit. So it's the same thing with Hamas, right? So and then people protect Hamas. They want them to stay. So, well, maybe get the kids out. Maybe if you really care, like the Jews, they send their children to different countries to save them, and they give them to monasteries to save them.
So what's the plan in place by the idea for Israel to save the kids in Gaza from starvation?
But the problem is that, listen, like, if you wanna, like, somebody has to want to save them, but nobody wants to save them. Like right now, here's the situation. Okay, Gaza is not very livable, and yet the people who are the Gazans, unfortunately, right? Any country that tried to take them in had regretted it right away, because they're so terroristic. And like
apart from that, what about the supplies? What do you have in place?
But the Hamas
supplies.
takes them. It doesn't. No, that's what I said before. So you give the supplies, and then the Hamas comes and collects it and takes it away. And if somebody resists them, they shoot them. They kill a lot of people. And there are plenty of videos like that. Like they kill themselves, thousands of people.
So
and they also say they also had made a statement that anyone who collects aid from foreign forces, they're gonna come to them and kill them.
Okay. So I read about a few mechanisms that was devised to supply by the help of US to bypass the Hamas and to ensure the supplies reaches the deserving. So do you trust that process?
No, because one thing no, for sure not, because unless Hamas is not there, the only option is to. But the problem is, like I said, every house is a weapon manufacturing. Every house. Okay, so they still have plenty of weapons. They still have it. Like all the billions that they collected from the world, they did so that every household would have like a stash of weapons.
There are no households right now. Everywhere where you look at Gaza, you will just see the debris.
Yeah, but there are still a lot of tunnels, and there are still a lot of places, and like they booby trapped a lot of those places. It's not that simple. It's not so straightforward. And anyway, so even if it's the Americans or the Israelis, it doesn't matter who gives the aid away. So they're doing two things. First of all, they issued a statement saying, if you go and collect as a citizen, if you go and take aid from Americans or Israelis, we will find you and kill you. And the second thing that they do is that they send people, like they pretend it's like to collect aid, and then they take the aid away from them and sell it. And that's how they make money.
Okay. So by these processes, you think, or can we believe that the problem faced by the kids, at least in the Gaza, will be alleviated, at least to an extent?
No, listen, first of all, it's a death cult, and they use the children, like when they put the missiles, right, the launchers right in the middle of schools. And I remember one soldier told me that he saw how they launched it, and the kids, there were kids all around the launcher, and they were all Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. They were so excited about it.
Don't recite
And
that.
the
People
thing
run
is
away
that
from our comment section. Don't recite that.
I'm sorry. And
Yeah,
here's
Allahu
the
Akbar
thing,
is so
like
dangerous. Yeah.
they, but the thing is that they teach them how to be violent, like how to kill, like they kill animals, they torture animals, like when they're children. So they're so used to it, so they are attracted to death. So when somebody like dies, like all the kids go and watch it because this is what they've been taught.
Okay. So
Like
can
they
you
really like.
conclude? So can you please conclude on this genocide label in a few sentences so that we can go to the third question?
I mean, honestly, I mean, genocide, no genocide. Like, if you have a better solution, let me know. Because honestly speaking, I don't, I like, it's not a genocide, but even if it's not a genocide, the end result might be the same, honestly speaking. Because, like, they are so extreme. I'm not sure they're not gonna kill each other till there is no one left. Like I don't know. Like I think whatever Israel killed with their bombings, Hamas killed just as much at the same time, and they support it. They really do. Like if you read what they write, if you are in their groups and stuff, they every time there's somebody like who does something, they're like they go, okay, let's, like when Hamas kills the family, for example, because the family tried to resist Hamas, the feed goes, yes, 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 like, and they always like they call, they're like the amount of times they write, we should kill this person, that person, and they're happy when people die.
Okay.
I
So
don't
the
know.
necessary
It's not,
sacrifice, which was mentioned by Yahya Sinwar, is something true, so that we cannot just accuse Israel on this label,
no, it's more
genocide
than
label.
that. It's more than that. Like they are so willing to kill each other.
The death cult.
Yes, like they're so quick to kill each other. Like they and you can see, like if you really, like if you read Arabic and you follow Gazans, you'd see that they constantly mark people to get killed.
Yeah. If you
And
know,
like and then I don't know, like if that's the kind of mentality, like it's not a genocide, but like
I have it out here. If you knew all
I don't
these
know.
right now, how could the October 7th happen? Like, how you forget all these things and you just stayed unaware of this attack coming in? How the IDF got through that? Like, how the Hamas could get through
People were on
the boundaries?
vacation, to be honest. It was a Saturday and people were on vacation. And also, listen, you know how boring it is to stand on guard?
Yeah, agree.
So people fall asleep. Like,
Okay, so
honestly.
that's an error.
I mean, this is what they were waiting for, because there are so many like false flags and so many pretend, and so they played with it a lot until like wolf, until somebody like, and until people like the other side, it works at some point because people get exhausted from this constant state.
And along with the insider help.
I don't know, like there are rumors and stuff, but I'm not sure it's that straightforward. I think from my experience, because I served in the intelligence, what happens is that sometimes people, I saw it happening a lot. Okay, so people get tired and they don't want to work as much, so they're like, nah, what are the chances? And then like, I want to go home.
Okay.
Like, and what happens is that it's one thing when, for example, it's a generation that still remembers, but what they did smartly is that relatively people got used to the situation and it's like became mundane, so they weren't as vigilant.
Okay. So,
And also they're not stupid, they're evil, but they're not they were smart. They like, I hate that people think that they're not sophisticated, that the enemy we face is like somehow retarded. It's not.
they were also smart.
They are extreme. Yahya Sinwar is a genius.
Okay.
Well, I mean, was a genius. He's dead now.
Okay.
But
I
man,
think this will go as a.
he understood Israeli psychology to a T. He knew how to play. You could also things that were found is what kind of messaging to release so that the Israeli press would go against the government and things like that. They are smart. I hate that people think they're stupid. They're not stupid. They are smart. They're just evil, but they are still smart.
Okay. That makes
You
sense.
cannot say that Nazis were stupid, right? They were not stupid. And the Hamas and just because they're evil doesn't make them stupid. And people make that mistake a lot.
Okay. So shall we go to the next one?
Yeah, sure.
So the question is about the ICC warrants against the Netanyahu and some of the top officials in Israel against the war crimes. So the defense Israel makes is mainly about the lack of jurisdiction. So how do you see this?
The main judge was a rapist, so
that's a new thing, new development in that.
By the way, do you know that it was revealed that he believes in a worldwide Islamic government? That this is that's his agenda. Karim Khan. He is an Islamist and a rapist.
So the ICC chief, he was an Islamist.
Yes, I think still is.
Okay.
I mean, the one who was running wasn't the main judge or something. I don't know what he was. Karim Khan.
Okay. Let's for time being forget about that part.
How can you forget about it if the ICC are the group of Islam, they're part of the Muslim Brotherhood?
No, even before this ICC chief was there. Whenever there was a crime or something which is we see right now, something comes up like this, every time we had an arrest warrant and something like this always happened. So the commonest argument or the commonest objective against this was to cite the lack of jurisdiction. So despite that, how can you dodge the allegations of war crimes? So what's your comment over the war crimes?
Listen, if you get judged by a rapist that believes in a world caliphate,
I'm asking about the previous ones.
But no, it's not the previous. It was the one from the beginning, same one. What
so
previous
no change?
ones? No.
Even before, every time Israel gets into some sort of a conflict with the Gaza region.
No. I don't think there was anything like before. But a lot of time it is, yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. The ICC, it was the same guy the whole time. So I don't know what you mean.
Okay, so your whole argument is that the Karim Khan is an Islamist, and that's one reason, or the only reason by which Islamist rapist, and that's the only reason why he accuses of this, and at the same time he ignores the other war crime people like the HTS,
like South Africa, where they genocide, when they kill white farmers, and they call for genocide.
The Syrian president, the Iranian president, and Julani. Yeah, so you mean to say that this is the only
and the other country they decided to UAE. And the other country that decided now to persecute is the UAE for their involvement in Sudan. Come on, it's bullshit.
So it's a farce in total.
Of course.
Okay. So
why would I take him seriously? And also, honestly speaking.
So you're not taking this seriously. That's the whole thing. Israel is not taking this ICC warrants seriously.
I mean, listen, I do take it seriously because it's kind of scary. Like, there are so many countries like Europe. Did you see the report about France? There is a report about the Muslim Brotherhood in France now. It's like scary. Somebody leaked it it was an internal government report in France, and it was leaked. I think it's gonna go to a bloodbath, honestly, but worldwide, because the Muslims took over everything, and people believe that intolerance and shit like that. And like, listen, if you are so tolerant, you think an Islamist rapist can be a judge in the international court. I think something is fundamentally fucked up in this world.
Okay. So you don't take this seriously. Israel doesn't find this as a
No,
serious
it is a threat.
warrant.
I think it's a worldwide threat. We can, like, you see, Julani got invited. He's an ISIS member, like Al Qaeda member, is treated like a real. He crowned himself as a president. He
Yeah.
doesn't even really control Syria. He maybe controls one neighborhood in Damascus. And people are like, yeah, no, he doesn't control Syria. He is not controlling Syria. He just
Just one
declared
point.
that he's the king. He's controlling the presidential palace.
Palace. Yeah. Just that.
So yeah, basically. And we're like, yeah. No, he doesn't even control. He doesn't have control over his own country, over his own people. Nothing. And he's an ISIS terrorist, Al Qaeda terrorist. Come on. And people like behaving like, you see the world gone mad. The world isn't like, what is this? This scary. It is scary. Honestly speaking, I take it very seriously because the world is going to places I don't want to see the world going to.
Okay. So with regards to this ICC warrants, what you, if I just sum up what you said, is that it is a threat, but at the same time, it's not something which should be taken seriously by Israel, because the whole show is a farce. That's what you have to say about the ICC warrants.
If the world, listen, if Israel is gonna be the only place that is not controlled by the Islamic agenda, then it's gonna be a world that sucks. It's really hard to live. Oh.
And also, do you say that ICC warrants are without any evidence, proper evidence? It's just an allegation, based on allegations.
They make things up. They're not even like too ashamed of it.
Sorry?
I'm saying they make things up.
Without any evidence.
People are saying there is a problem with my.
It was audible. Everything was audible. If something is there, I'll let you know. Now it is muted. We have the Arabic nasheed to fill the gap.
Oh.
You unmuted. Yeah, things are clear now.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. If anything is there, I'll let you know, because everything goes from here. Okay.
All
not
right.
through anywhere else. So just focus here.
Thank you. Sorry.
Don't panic. Okay. So so this is it. Shall we go to the next one? So if the audience, if any of you have any doubt on this, if you need any clarification on that, please note your questions and you can join at the end. Okay, so let's move on. So the fourth question is about the origins of Hamas, and this is one of the most funniest thing that I always say. That is, if the Muslims, especially the Muslims, if you believe really that Hamas is something which was fathered by Israel and America, and if any other some sort of countries like them, at least due to that reason, could you please stop the support that you give to Hamas? That's the only request that I have to make. So forget about the origins.
Right.
Okay. At least for that reason, please stop supporting Hamas. Please call them as a terrorist organization fathered by Israel and America. Let's call by that name or by that definition itself, if you believe that. But when we accuse about the terrorist organization, you come up with the explanation that it was fathered by Israel. But when we say about the problems in Gaza, then you come up and say that Gaza is now in problem in a sad state, and the only people who can save Gazans are the Hamas. This is what you say. It's a dual standard. We don't buy that. So do you have something on that to say, like the origins of Hamas? Who are the real men behind Hamas?
The Muslim Brotherhood created Hamas, which is a very old organization that been operating in Egypt, especially for decades, I think almost a century now. Here's the thing, the way they had infiltrated a lot of places is that they had, like what they do is that they give a social network to a community and really like support, feed. They really take care of communities, and then after they build their network, they start preaching their Islamist agenda, ideology. So in the beginning, Israel was like, oh, cool. So there is actually a group that looks like they take care of the Palestinians. Because what happened was that other groups would not, like the people on the street would get nothing. Like you would try to help and elevate the situation. So the Fatah, like they took away the education from the kids, for example. Right? So the kids didn't have any but internally, right? So part of it's so interesting. So to fight Israel, they will do things like, okay, we are going to fight Israel by not letting our kids go to school that they are running with their ideology, right? So it's, imagine like to fight India, Pakistanis will not send their kids to school.
Okay, so
that's the logic.
If Hamas is the brainchild or the heart child of Muslim Brotherhood, what about the PLO?
The PLO is more like the Ba'ath. It's extension of the Ba'ath. It's the Arab National Social, like the Arab National Socialist. So it's the
From
same
Iraq.
ideology like the Nazis, just Arabs instead of Aryans. So
Okay.
this is what they call themselves, like the Arab National Socialist.
Oh, okay.
But their ideology is exactly like the Nazi ideology, except replace the pyramid with Arabs being. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that if, just like Yasser Arafat, who got a Nobel Prize, if Yahya Sinwar lived maybe for another 10 years or so, whether he would have taken or gotten another Nobel Prize for peace if things were going like this?
I don't think that Israel
is there any difference between PLO and Hamas?
Well, I guess it's the difference between the Nazis and the Islamists. Yeah.
So Hamas is more like Islamists.
Yeah, but
Okay,
like the Fatah is also Islamist, but it's more. It's the difference between Nazis and Islamists.
Okay, so so you mean do you mean to say that Hamas is more dangerous than PLO?
So to make it clear, the calling from the river to the sea. So
what's the original version of that? Something like.
So so there are two. One is the PLO, Min Mia al Mia Palestina Arabia, and one is
slowly. What is that?
So it's in Arabic. Min Mia al Mia Palestina Arabia. That's the PLO version. Min Mia al Mia, from sea to sea, from water to water.
Water.
Palestine will be Arab.
Okay.
That's
Arab.
the PLO version. Yes.
Okay.
And the Hamas style version, the Muslim Brotherhood, Min Mia al Mia Palestine Islamia. From water to water, Palestine will be Muslim.
Okay. And I remember one more slogan, Ya Yahud, Jaish Muhammad, something like that. You remember that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Jews, the army of Muhammad is going to return. Or something.
Okay, that's the meaning. Okay. So army of the Muhammad is returned.
Something
it's
like that. I don't remember
Khaybar,
exactly,
something related to Khaybar.
So Khaybar Ya Yahud. So Khaybar is where the Jews were slaughtered.
Yeah, Khaybar Ya Yahud.
Ja Muhammad, something.
Jaish Muhammad, by something like that. So it's yet to come.
Yeah.
So we can look at it if you want. Okay, if anyone is listening to this.
Is in Saudi Arabia. It was Jewish.
If anyone is listening to this, could just text the words exactly on this comment section, I can just read out. Please help us. Okay, so so these are the original versions of the slogans, which is now being echoing in the Western universities and all over the world as part of the globalize the Intifada. So, what do you have to say about that, especially in the wake of two people, the Jewish couple who got killed last day?
I think one of the biggest lies is that focusing on the fact. Listen, it was killing of relatively like outside of a Jewish museum, okay? So that means that there is like a license to kill those who hold the opposite opinions from you, right? So it's like, first of all, it's an attack of American values, because if you can be if you are in America, right, you should be allowed to have an opinion that is different than yours. But it starts with the Jews, and they weren't even Jews. That's like they weren't completely Jewish. I think she was, but he was Christian actually. She was Jewish. But it's not about that. It's more about like, obviously outside of the Jewish museum, it's just saying something of like, there is no tolerance for something that is not their version. They also shot, right? They killed like CEO of a company recently.
Yeah.
And they also celebrated that.
And they were like to talk about the aid which is being given to the Gazan people to raise that. And also the Sarah, who was also killed in that, was actually working for the peace between Gazan people and the Israelis and to end the conflict. That's where the area where
but
Sarah
they don't
want
to end the conflict. Well, they want to extend the conflict.
Yeah, so they ended the person who was trying to end the conflict. So that's what exactly happened. And this is the, thank you so much, Shamim, for that. So this is the slogan, Khaybar, Khaybar, Ya Yahud, Jaish Muhammad, Saufa Yaud. That's something, I'm not... Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for that. This is something which is also shouted by these Gazans at times, and they call for this liberation. And the meaning of this is that Khaybar will repeat, and for that, the army of Muhammad is coming. And what is Khaybar? Khaybar was a Jewish tribe which was raided by Prophet Muhammad and which was destroyed in total. So what they are sloganeering by this is the destruction of the Jews, the Israel. This is what they are literally saying, and we are against that. I'm against that, and that's one of the reasons why I stand with Israel. So, and I'll be there. And there are many people asking in the comment section about why I'm not keeping an Indian flag over here, because the problem with Indian flag is... Yeah, there's a lot of problem with Indian flag, because I had an Indian flag and it's sitting over there. The issue is that if I keep a flag and if you come up with another flag, and if the size of your flag is more than mine, then that can be a reason for framing a case against me, because there's a flag protocol. So it's always a headache. So, and I was getting a lot of messages on that. So it's easy to keep other countries' flags on my platform rather than keeping my own country flag. So that's the biggest issue with Indian flag. So we need to modify the flag code in India.
India has a problem with the bureaucracy.
Yes.
I think this is the number
biggest
one
issue.
problem. Yeah.
So that's the biggest issue. India. So I got an official instruction that it's better to avoid keeping an Indian flag, because if someone tries to frame me, it's easy for them. So that's the only reason. But yet I have a flag over there. It's sitting over there and it's not visible. That's it. But I know India is in my heart. It's always there. So let it be there. Okay, you know that. So let's move on. Okay. So anything more to add on this?
Not really.
Okay. Okay. So over to me. So this is about the blockade, the open-air prison, and the collective punishment of the Gazans, which is being always a conundrum. Because before October 7th, it was always called that Gaza was an open air prison. When the October 7th happened and afterwards the war began, now what they say is that Gaza was a heaven before, and now it's a complete, what do you say, a demolition site. That's how Trump explained that or called that site. So, what is this? Why? How come a place within days can transform from an open air prison to
What?
a
It took
heaven?
a year.
Sorry, within days. That's how they say. Because within days,
Oh,
an open air prison was getting transformed into a paradise. How is that possible? What is the magic
everything
of
is
blockade?
possible if you lie.
Sorry. So Gaza was a open air prison. How was the
Yeah,
life before October
and
7th
by
in
the way,
Gaza?
just so you know, at nighttime I turn into a unicorn.
Please let me know. Let us know how the life was there in Gaza before October 7th. Was that
Well,
an open prison?
it depends who is asking.
I'm asking. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to go to Gaza before, but I
Well, if
got a
you're
chance to
asking, it's
visit.
an open air prison.
So have you been to Gaza any time?
You think they're animals?
Who
They
are
play with
animals?
they you know what they use as a soccer ball. They catch people who they think they're traitors, and then their heads, and then they let the kids play with their head
Okay. And what about
like
the
a ball.
blood on the palms?
That's the West Bank.
Only on West Bank? Why not in
No, the
Gaza?
what you saw in Ramallah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that happened in the West Bank.
Okay. So
I mean, there used to be Jews that went to the West Bank, but even I heard even Israeli Arabs, like there is a Lucy, I think it was Lucy Alish. She's Muslim, and they went to Gaza to buy some groceries, and a terrorist came and threw a grenade in their car.
okay.
And she was like a child. He looked her in the eyes. She was like 5 years old, and he threw some, or I don't know what he threw. Maybe not a grenade that they would have exploded, but he threw something that burned their car, and they had to like leave the car. And she said like nobody there helped them until the
But
Israeli soldiers, like the IDF, entered to help
but
them
as
out.
a case, but as a case, if
And
I
that's a Muslim family.
yeah, but as a case for a comparison purpose, if I bring a Palestinian here or a Gazan here, and if I ask him the same question, he also will narrate some of the what do you say saddening incidents of people getting killed in the cars and other places by the IDF and by the Israeli.
No, but you understand that you have like a Muslim family driving, and there's a person, right, who saw that they're wearing like secular clothing, and he looked at the 5-year-old girl, and it was a hot day, so they had their windows open and threw something to burn her.
Oh, so you mean to say that that was not a Jew?
No, nobody
Oh,
there was Jewish.
okay. So they thought that that was a Jew.
I don't know what they were thinking. They were Muslims, and they when they were screaming outside of the car, right, that they are burning and that like they're Muslims, nobody came to help them in the street. Nobody came to them
This happened where?
in Gaza
In Gaza
before Israel. Yes, before
before
Israel
October
left.
7th.
Before the year 2005. So
5. Oh.
Israel, all there were Jews living in the Gaza Strip before, and then in 2005, like Israel left, and all the Jewish residents that live in Israel left, but because of cases like that, like I told you, like even Israeli Muslims could not go into Gaza because there were people who crossed who were Muslims, and they would kill them.
Okay. And at the same time, there's always a problem which is being cited here is the constant checkpoints where Gazans or
No,
people
that's
from the
not the Gaza.
West Bank
Like the
will be
Gazans.
always stopped and checked and all. So that's a big
Well,
problem.
Well,
So what's the reason for that?
right. Because if you don't do that, you get October 7th.
So you mean to say that in the past there was
It was always
multiple-
like that. Nothing changed. It was like that for centuries. There are cases that it happened in every year since the invention of Islam. And there are a lot of things that are so horrible that it was basically censored. But it's all written in Arabic because they're proud of that. They're proud of how they gang rape. Like even in 1,000 years ago, how they gang rape people who are not
do you
Muslim.
have a point in the history where this checkpoint system began? Was there a
So-
particular incident or a period in which it was
I
started?
think in the 80s that started.
You mean to say about the Intifada, the first one?
I think so. It started more.
Okay, so Intifada was the reason
But I
why
think
the
probably
checkpoints
before
were.
that as well. I don't know. Like, yeah, because, people, they would go and they would kill kids. And anyone would do that. Kids would do that. Women would do that. Like there is a woman who basically made a bus explode. I don't know. She killed like dozens. I don't remember all the stories. It's been but it's never been not like that. So it's a weird question. Like if there wasn't even a one point in history where Muslims did not go crazy, then maybe things would have been different. But there isn't even a week without them.
Okay.
So yeah, you have to check them every time because the other option is what if they're all like that, what the other option is, right? So it's all you check them one by one, and then those who are not suicide bombers can have a chance to do something with their lives, or you don't let any of them and let them rot. That's another option, which is not a bad one, actually, if you ask me.
Okay, so coming to a conclusion to this part about the open-air prison, the collective punishment and all, it's self-destructed one. That's what I said in the beginning. That is, the moment October 7th happened, open-air prison became a paradise. So it was already disproven by them. So still, I just wanted to make sure what's going on over there. So thank you so much for that. So let's go to the next one. And it's about the settlement legality, especially in the West Bank or the Judea and Samaria for you. So why Israel is promoting or pushing settlements in West Bank? Is it okay for you?
Yes.
Why?
Why not?
Are you a settler?
I mean, from the river to the sea includes exactly the place I'm sitting at right now. So yes.
So what is the
I'm
legality?
between the river and the sea right now.
Okay. So,
So I
what is the
guess I'm a
legality
settler.
in West Bank? I'm just asking about the West Bank region.
Yeah, I think it's like you purchase land. There is like a protocol. It's just boring legal stuff. It's like, okay, if you're an Indian, like even you as an Indian, you can buy an apartment in Israel, right? Like you have to go through legal stuff. That's it.
I can buy an apartment in Israel?
Yeah, why not?
Oh, okay. Then I have to think about that. Something underground.
No, I mean it's expensive. That's not a problem.
Even underground.
I mean, you know how expensive things are in here? Like apartments are here.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
scary. If you have the money, go ahead.
Okay, let's make some money then. So, can you please elaborate over? It's not just for me. Like there are people listening to us, so just wanted to know what is the legality. On what grounds you are defending the claims against you? That is, or the allegations against you about the breach of law, international law in making
There
the
is no
settlements?
breach of law. There is none.
How?
Well, how? Yes. If you can buy an apartment in Israel, what's the problem? Like,
No,
what the
we
heck
are
is
we
the
are
problem?
specifically.
Are you a
I'm not.
settler?
I'm not
That
asking
would
about
that make you a
buying.
settler?
I'm not asking about buying land in Israel. I'm asking about buying land in West Bank region specifically, where there's a
Okay, you can
conflict.
buy it too. There is no conflict. Come on, it's not. I mean, there is like a little bit of like, it's not clear what law applies where, but it's not done illegally. Believe me, the Israeli left-wing bullshit Supreme Court would have stopped. Like is always in favor of the Arabs. Like I told you, they are not allowing far right. They allow the Muslim Brotherhood to get elected, but they don't allow a far right Jewish or like at the same. I mean, I don't want to say far right, but like the same version. But the Jewish party, they don't allow them to run. So
So you mean to say that even I can buy land in West Bank?
I mean, I don't know what's the process. I'm not a lawyer, really, but I think you can. Yeah.
So when you say that you can buy anywhere in Israel, so then what's the difference between Israel and West Bank?
I mean, there are like areas that it depends on who owns it. Then it's different buying processes. I don't know. It's not my expertise.
So okay, so what is the importance of West Bank for
And there
Israel?
are areas that are owned by Jews, but they're under the Palestinian Authority control.
It's mixed one.
So,
It's a mixed location.
so no. So there is BCA, and those areas that are A, there are places there that belong to Jews, and there are all the documents and everything, but they wouldn't give it to Jews because they don't care. That the only people who have rights there are Muslims. But on everything that is under Israeli law, then it just depends on who they check who is the owner, right? And by the ownership, and by who bought the land, that's who gets it.
So that process is always already there in place in West Bank.
Okay. Yeah, like I talked to somebody that was for Jordan, and so I don't know. A lot of people don't know, but like 10% of the Jewish population was displaced in 1948 as well. But for example, there was like a Christian, like an Arab family that, like I heard it a lot, like Arabs family, they were displaced, and then they went to court and showed, okay, this is the land that we owed, and then they got the land back. It's not just, it's legal processes.
Okay, so anyone can buy land in West Bank. It's not just Israelis.
I think so, yeah. Like I'm not sure. I don't follow, but I think you don't have to have an Israeli citizenship to purchase
Then why
an apartment.
the UN? Okay, then why the UN deems West Bank settlements as a violation, a breach of international law? Why is it so?
Why not? Why not?
Why it is found observed as a
I
violation?
mean, because it's not true. It's just it's just a lie.
You mean to say that the UN is not understanding the issue properly?
The UN believes that Yemen can be the head of the Women Rights Committee.
Okay, that makes sense.
No.
And also,
I mean, listen, there are people who could explain it, who like Natasha Hausdorff. She's an expert in international law. She can explain it way better, like go by law. But it's just not true. That's the thing. It's like,
yeah, someone was mentioning exactly the same thing. The same one. Need to ask Natasha Hausdorff about this.
yeah, she would know how to explain it because I'm not like an expert in international law, but it's basically bullshit.
Okay, if you have a contact with her, let's bring her so we can have a chat online here. So things will be more clear when it comes to international issues like this, because that's a problem when the Yemeni leaders can become the representative for the women's rights, when Iranian leader can become the representative for the human rights. UN finally becomes a puppet show. So that's a problem.
And
Okay, let's forget about that and let's move on. So okay with this? And if anyone has a question on this, please wait with your questions. We can ask. We have 4 more questions.
Let's be honest here, okay? Like, is there anyone who thinks that that the international community, the way it functions right now, is in any way, shape, or form justice oriented? Because if it would be up to them, there are going to be another billion Hindus that would get killed by Islamists. And they don't care at all about the Christian persecution that is happening worldwide. You know how nobody, like, when we talked about 1948, you know that there were like million Jews that were expelled from Muslim countries, right?
Yeah, we are
But
coming to that. That's our last question. The Nakba.
But you know what nobody talks about? Because it's not only a million Jews that were displaced, it was also million Christians.
Christians, yeah.
And what does
Nobody
that? And
talks
like
about it.
everybody was like, okay, so because for everybody, they like the international community is like, yeah, okay, they displaced you, but because you established the state of Israel, okay, so why did they do that to the Christians too?
Yeah, we'll come to that.
Why did they do it to a million Christians? Like, what? At what point do we stop lying and
Please reserve
admit that there is a real problem with Islamic conquest that is happening worldwide?
Yeah, please reserve this answer for our last question, because we have that on Nakba.
All right.
So let's move on. And it's about the BDS dilemma, the boycott, disinvest, and the
You know when
sanctions.
BDS started?
Sorry?
You know that the original BDS placards
that?
were boycott Palestine businesses?
Oh, okay, in the beginning,
Because-
yeah. Arabs
because
to
it's-
protest Palestinians, like that. something
No,
like
because
that.
so Palestine meant Jews because before the
yeah.
establishment of Israel. So the boycott is Jewish for like Jews
Palestinian,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. It started like boycott Palestinian goods, and it
yeah.
started in a century ago. So like in the 1910s, 20s, it already started.
And
So
they
now it's
post
like-
this message.
But
and
it's
they
the
post
same
this.
thing. It's the same. They literally it's the same thing. But now Palestine is not Israel.
Okay, it's so unfortunate that I didn't have that image. So if you have that, you can just display
Yeah, I
it.
was looking for it. I don't
Yeah.
know
So
where that is.
anyway, if I get a chance to upload it, re-upload this as a portion, we will make sure that that can be displayed. So that's something like boycott Palestinian goods, isn't it?
I don't remember, but
Yeah,
it's
something like
not
that.
a new movement.
The word Palestine was that.
Israel was almost under complete boycott until like the
So yeah.
70s.
So coming to this is something like the boycott. So on one end, they are opposing collective punishments, and at the same time, they are calling for BDS. So it's again another version of collective punishment where
I don't understand.
what
Like,
is-
are we
what is
going to
something-
continue pretending the Islamists think this way?
Mm,
Like, at
that's
what
what I'm
point are
asking.
we gonna be okay? So I'm gonna be honest right now. Okay, at one point we're gonna be true and stop pretending that there isn't like why are there double standards? Because there in Islam, it's either if you are Muslim, you have one set of rules on you, and if you are not Muslim, you better die or pay jizya if you're lucky. So what do you mean? It's like, why we pretending? Like, why would anyone expect them to behave in a way that makes sense? Like at what point do we stop saying, well, this is just hypocrisy? Oh yeah, and what about like, isn't it hypocritical to kill every non-Muslim in the world? It's just based on whether they're Muslim or not. It's bullshit. Okay, so at what point do we stop pretending that there is anything about the way they think that has to do with logic?
And do you think that this BDS is something, a modern version of the anti-Semitism which was promoted by the Hitler?
No, it's Islamist.
Okay.
The Muslims are good for, like, did you look at the Quran? They don't need Hitler.
No,
I think
I'm
the
asking
other way
you,
around.
this
They could
BDS,
do-
the
they could have
boycott.
been- No.
no.
It's a Muslim thing.
No, I'm asking you, is it a modern version of anti-Semitism?
No, it's the same old cool What
Okay.
makes it modern? If it's been there, like if it was happening 100 years ago under the same banner about with like promoted by the same people.
Hmm.
Do you mean modern as in like started in
No.
the
Okay, I'll
20th
change that
century?
word. I just wanted to make sure that this is something which happens today. That's all.
It's still
Nothing
happening.
modern.
No,
Okay. It's the anti-Semitism of today. That's it.
it's not anti-Semitism. It's anti-humanity.
Oh, but it's targeted against the Jews, the
Yeah,
BDS.
but only because Judaism is pro-humanity. And these people
Oh,
want humanity to die. So they target
oh,
Jews because we represent Judaism.
okay,
I don't take
okay,
it personally.
okay. So you are against that anti-Semitism, that call.
No, it's anti-Semitism, but in reality, like I think it's time that since we're being honest, okay,
Mm.
it's an ideological as well, right? And they just don't like the Judaism. They want
Yeah,
Judaism to die. They want
yeah.
the like one of the reasons they also target anything. Also they target Arabs and Muslims that think in a Jewish that listen, you know what they do, right? So if you start asking questions, they start calling you Jewish because you have a Jewish
Yes.
and they target.
Even though
So
you are not a Jew, even if
exactly.
you even if you are an atheist.
Even if you don't talk about Israel, even if you
Yeah,
don't talk about Jews, the moment you ask a question
yeah. That's how I became a
that
Jew.
is
I'm a Jew
questioning
now.
a narrative, right? They start calling you a Jew because
Yeah.
let's be honest, the Jew is a kind of mindset, is a thing, is a person that thinks is a Jew. And they want to
Okay.
kill everybody who thinks, okay?
Okay. So yeah, I understand that well because even I am called as a Jew, so I'm a proud Jew in that sense. And you have a compliment here. It's about that statement. Even I was really proud of hearing from you the same statement. It's not anti-Semitic, it's anti-humanity. That's a bold statement. Thank you so much, and thank you, Krishna, for noting that. So that shows people are keenly listening to you. So that's something too good to know.
So
Thank you so
listen,
much. Yeah.
you know everything now that we take for granted. It was the only like the thought that people are equal, created by in the image of God. This is something the Jews brought to the world, and there is no parallel in any other culture in the world. There are a lot of things, right, that are now we think as universal laws that protect humanity, but they were only the only source we have anywhere in the world where it comes from is Judaism. This is what they target. They target the Jews because the Jews were the only group in the world that came up with those laws of human equality and equal rights and things like that. There is no other source for it. So once
Okay.
so for them, we are the carriers of the idea of human rights. Once they kill us, they can have the subverted version of humanity they have in their minds.
Okay. Okay. I think this will help some of the people to realize the real engineering going on. So that you will get an
Yeah.
idea of this
They're not
conflict in
stupid.
talk.
Like I said, people think they're
Yeah.
stupid. They're not stupid. They know what they're
Okay.
doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing and they know what they fight. They want to have the ability to do whatever they want. And Judaism puts restrictions on humans because in Judaism, you can criticize a king. In Islam, you can't. Like you can criticize the Prophet Muhammad. Judaism is the only tradition that forced it upon the world. And they want to kill us because we are the problem. They want to control the world, and the Jews are rebellion. They are the rebels, and everybody knows that. We always
Yeah.
were, because
Rebellious.
this
That's
is
the
what
word.
our culture requires. You cannot be Jewish if you're not rebellious.
Okay. Okay. Are you a believer? Because do you just wanted to
It
know?
has nothing to do with believing. It's just, the way humans are. So that's just the way we are.
Okay. It's an identity. That's all.
No, it's personality. It's how the brain is built.
Okay.
Because
I
you'd
appreciate.
always, because you'd always notice that people that have similar characteristics are drawn to Judaism, are drawn to be part of. People who tend to rebel, people who tend to question, people who tend, they always somehow find themselves in the same camp as Jews
Okay.
without being genetically Jewish.
Okay. That's interesting. So you mean to say that there's some substance in people calling me a Jew then? Because I
Yes,
always revolt?
yes, yes, it's correct. It's not wrong. Like
Okay, wonderful.
there is a Jewish. It's also when somebody asked me, well, like, what if all the Jews disappear? Then there will be new Jews who would pick up the Bible and live by those rules. There is a reason why Jews accept converts, because it's your soul that is Jewish, not necessarily your genetics. It's just rare that people have that. Okay, it's rare. It's rarity among the world, but we never ever, like, we don't require you to be born one. But
Okay.
the requirement is to understand exactly what it means to be a Jew.
Okay. So you can live as a Jew even if you don't observe any of the rituals as a Jew.
So it's like you can have a Jewish soul, and then it's your choice whether you will also want to be a part of the Jewish people. It's just, if you, I think it's hard to have a Jewish soul without the community, honestly speaking.
Okay.
I think people like that suffer a lot.
Okay. So so people always call this way. That is, you are a Zionist, you are a Jewish supporter, and you are a Jewish, intellectually Jewish, and also, what exactly is that? Can you give us a definition for that?
Well, I think the Bible describes Jews good, and you have my copy of the Bible with
Yeah,
you.
it's here, but yeah, it's here.
It's stubborn people, rebellious people, people who question, people who debate, people who argue,
Oh,
and
that's a
people who
Jew.
want to make, that's a Jew. People who want to make humanity better, people who fight.
Okay, cool. So I think this is enough food for a controversy. Anyway, let's
But
move on.
it's true. It's just the way it is. It's just, you'd notice like who is drawn to like there. It's a personality type. Let's be honest, okay? People who support Israel and Jews, like right now. Let's be honest. It's a more than anything. It's a personality type.
Oh, okay. That's a personality trait.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
Anyway.
a lot of
Anyway.
times. Yes.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. And this question is about the prisoner detention and some of the problems that they face in the prisons of Israel, and some violations that they have faced. And maybe some of them could be an allegation, as you say it, but these are some of the arguments which is being put forward. So
Well, it's not even true. Why do I need to keep arguing about that?
no, we are not arguing.
Like
We are
people
just
just
facing
can
the
say
question.
whatever they want. You know that in Israel, like we also, like every Sunday, everybody wears rollerblades, and that's how people who don't wear rollerblades get shot.
No, this is one thing. That is the administrative detention. That's the word we get here. So what is
No,
that?
I
What
know what
exactly is that?
it's it's people who, I mean, it's also legal processes. You like you most of the time what happens there, it's just due process. They do all get due process, and a lot, and
And
it's
what is
just
the end of that process?
well, it depends. They commit crimes, right? And that's
If
why
if
they
they
get
if they have committed, or if they had a plan to commit a crime, what's the outcome?
Well, it depends. It's most of the time, if they plan, they just get a warning, and
Okay,
then
and they will be sent back with a
right.
ban
Warning.
to re-enter.
We'll be like, think again. We're watching you. No.
Oh, okay. Okay, so just like a big daddy, big brother.
Yeah.
Okay. And if what happens, and we talked about the prisoner exchange during the hostages exchange.
It's not prisoner exchange. These are murderers who get released from jail, just to get their sentence shortened. Because listen, the reason they want them is because they want them to, like, those who already committed murder, they're good at it. They're gonna go back to doing that. So they just want them.
Okay. So do you have any idea of how many of them are still left in your prisons?
I think a lot. I don't know.
Thousands?
I guess I don't really. They are deplorable people. There is nothing to protect there. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And the sole motive for all those crimes is just to eliminate the river to sea Palestine will be free. That's the sole purpose of that? The jihad?
I think a lot of them just want to commit suicide, honestly.
Suicide? On what grounds?
So I don't know if you get to talk to a lot of people. The thing is that a lot of times they get sold the idea that there is nothing to live for. And so they get depressed, and then they think this is a good way to commit suicide.
For the Gazans?
Also in Gaza, it happens a lot, where people would go running to soldiers just because they want to kill themselves.
Oh, okay.
They don't always want to kill anyone else necessarily. Sometimes they just want to die.
Okay.
Because, like, in their education system, they're constantly being they really know.
Can you please elaborate that, because this is something new to me? What exactly is that process of suicide? What is that?
So the way they get the ground soldiers is that they depress people, the kids, on purpose, and they encourage suicide. It's tragic, honestly speaking.
The mother or the parent will force the children.
Education system, or, for example, like, there are a lot of, like, the abuse rate is very high in that society. And if you get raped, you might as well just die. And boys get raped and girls get raped, and then there is nothing they can live for. And if anyone finds out, for example, then they're gonna die. Anyway, they're gonna get killed. So a lot of time, like, what they do is they try to commit suicide. So it's like it's very, actually, like, there are stories of, like, I remember when I was, like, young, there was a child that had a suicide vest on him, and he went to the soldiers and they started crying. He didn't want to do that, but he was sent to die. But also, like, psychologically, a lot of times, like, they abuse their people to an extent where, like, they encourage them to kill themselves a lot. So some people so there are people who want to die, and some are really truly violent, but they're also, like, so you ask me to do it.
But don't you know that suicide is haram in Islam? Something that is taught.
But if you
how can someone go this?
But if you do it like jihad, then it's not haram anymore, and so you can get yourself killed.
Okay, so
it's a loophole.
The purpose is tweaked in that way. Okay, so
that's
so common, or is it one off, or is it so common?
It's so a lot of time those who commit suicide, that's how they get them to commit suicide. Yes, like, these people who want to they want to die a lot of times. Yeah.
How come they get the ammunition for that, like for the vest and all?
So what they say, there's, like, okay, I'm willing to die, and then somebody takes care of that and sends you to death. Just like ask Mosab Hassan Yusuf, like, a lot of time he would sit down with these people who were about to commit suicide, and then he would talk him out, like, do you really want to die? Maybe that's not the good way. Maybe there is a different way to get your life together,
Okay.
But it doesn't take much. Like my friend, when he was traveling Jordan, I had an interview with him, and he said that he's Druze, but he said he was Muslim, so he wouldn't get in trouble. And he said like the moment I said like I'm Muslim, the person I talked to tried to convince me to commit suicide, without even saying like where or how. It was like, oh, you should die for Allah. You should go and like kill yourself somewhere.
Okay. Okay. So, what is the conclusion for this? The prisoner, the allegations on that, the administrative detention, unlawful imprisonment, all these allegations. What's your final take on that?
Well, depends who's asking, but if you're from an Arab country, then whatever they have that like 10 times more. And if it's Europe, I would recommend you start doing things like that, because otherwise the things are going to go really bad for Europe.
Okay. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, the ninth question from me is about the media targeting, the journalists getting killed. Last a few days ago, or last time we discussed about the killing of Shireen Abu Akhle. So that was widely discussed. Israel targeted her. This was the allegation, and many other press freedom right activists, they were raising the concern. So is Israel IDF targeting press, trying to control the press, control the information going out? Do you have any such mechanism?
We have censorship,
Mm-hmm.
but basically there isn't much control, no. Like, believe me, if there was, we wouldn't have the outlets still functioning.
Do you have any specific statement about the killing of Shireen?
Did they deserve it? I don't know who they are. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. She was a reporter?
She was a reporter, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't find any allegiance to any terror outfit or anything, but she was killed.
I think, wasn't she the one like that? Like there was a fire exchange and she was shot by mistake or something?
Yeah, it was a mistake, but she was killed.
Okay, so if you go to a war zone, you take a risk as a journalist. It's not targeted. It's just a risk like management.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. If you want to report from a war zone, then you can get hit by a missile from Yemen, for example.
Okay, it's not Israeli missile; it's Yemeni missile.
I mean, I don't know what. Like they don't even. I don't think I remember. They didn't even know like what kind of bullet hit her. Was it like their bullets? Like who even was shooting? I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But it's not like. But if you go to like an area that is like go to the street, like even if you go to the favela in Brazil to make journalism, somebody might shoot you by mistake because of a gang shooting. Like it just happens. You go to places that are not safe. That's what happens.
Yeah. So when Rebecca is doing videos on all these subjects, and if you are not aware of this thing, the killing of Shireen, so isn't that a minus mark?
Oh no, there are so many stories.
So, because this is widely discussed in the other side.
Okay, so what?
And also about the killing of the medics, the paramedics who was killed.
They were terrorists.
No, IDF even
I mean,
punished. The soldiers were suspended by the IDF who killed
because
those medics.
I disagree with the IDF. The IDF is too left wing. Too progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. I served in the IDF. They're fucking progressive as fuck. They're leftists themselves.
So what about the current official head of the IDF? Is he a leftist?
I mean, I don't know what it's like, but it's like, it's a whole system.
Okay.
I mean,
Anyway, I
step by
just wanted to
step,
make
Baruch Hashem.
I just wanted to make a point here. That's when there is a war, a real war, which is going on on the ground, and also there's an information war which is going above that, and there.
I think just people are stupid and they don't understand what war looks like. So can you imagine like going and then like telling a story from a favela where you have like gang shootings all the time and like getting like hit by a ricochet. So and then it's like if you don't know, like people have like non like it's I don't know, is it retardedness? I don't know what's the problem actually.
Anyway,
Are people just retarded? I don't know.
Yeah, I think if the information war which is going on along with the real war on the ground, there stories like this are always discussed, and there is always a kind of false narratives and other narratives which is building all over, and it is spreading
but
like
it's
a
just
wildfire.
because they cannot write to kill all the Jews, so they need to use methods like that. Because they're gonna get banned from social media if they're gonna just write what they want, so they just use it. But everybody who engages in that knows they're just saying kill all the Jews.
Okay, so so what's the final take on this? Is there a purposeful, targeted
if
media
you are
control?
doing journalism in areas that are not safe, try to think how to keep yourself safe. Yeah,
that's the only thing. There's no targeted killing. No.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Okay. So let's move on. So if you have any questions, the audience, please reserve for that. We have just final question, and we'll come to you. And this is the final one. That's about the Nakba. So that's the recently there was a Nakba day. Yeah, the Nakba day, and there was always, as usual, the Nakba victims, the victim cries on one side, and the other side we had the stories by the Jewish supporters, the Israeli supporters, who was giving the opposite versions of the real story, how the Nakba happened, and what exactly was not Nakba, and all those things, and also some of the details that you were trying to.
Maybe we should do it again. Nobody, like I said before, nobody talks about the
just give a historical
Christians.
Perspective. Historical elaboration of what Nakba is for our audience, for the dummies.
For the dummies, okay. So what happened is just, in general, Jews are kind of stupid. So instead of expelling the Arabs that lived in the land that were fighting against them, they were like, hey, let's cooperate. Luckily, the Arab armies were like, if you're going to be in the ground, it's going to be harder for us to slaughter the Jews, so evacuate. So 700 people decided to evacuate, so it would be easier for the Arab armies who were properly, had the equipment and everything to genocide the Jews. Unfortunately, they failed to genocide the Jews, so they were just out of the country. Anyway, that's the story. At the same time, of course, 1 million Jews were expelled from Muslim countries. And what I said, at least 850,000. And nobody talks about it, but also 1 million Christians were displaced from Muslim countries at the same time. And nobody talks about it because it doesn't fit the narrative of Arab versus Muslim versus Jews, population swap. Because the Christians don't fit that narrative.
So which were the countries involved in this, the Arab and the other ones? Can you just name them?
Iraq. Egypt. It was in
that
phases,
area.
I think.
Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Saudi Arabia does not allow
Jordan.
anyone who is not Muslim to live in there. In their
Okay.
territories. Muslim was just an empty Jordan was an empty desert. Nobody lived there.
Okay.
There weren't even Arabs living there. It was very empty.
So in one sentence, Nakba is a lie. Is it?
No, because so it is a lie because it's not about the ethnic cleansing. I actually have a photo of the original this description of the Nakba.
What is that? You have it?
So I need to look for that photo. It's a genius, it's really nice. It's one.
I haven't seen that. anyway.
You don't? So it's from an old newsletter where it actually said, so the Arabs had declared a Nakba, and it was not about the displaced Palestinians, it was about the failed genocide of the Jews. Like, this is how they announced it. Like, that the disaster was the failure to genocide the Jews and not the displacement of Arabs. This is, and with time, it was, it became kind of like, oh, it's not something we're supposed to be saying now, so they turned into that. But the original Nakba, like when they announced the Nakba originally, this is not how they had this is not how they described it. It's not what the disaster was about.
Okay, so Nakba, can you define Nakba for dummies?
Just a disaster.
Okay, upon whom?
Well, upon Islam, for not finally killing the Jews and bringing about.
It's a failed Jewish expulsion.
It's a failed Jewish genocide.
Failed Jewish genocide. That's what is Nakba.
Yeah, because I think it was Ibrahim Pasha, right? So the head of the Arab League. Did you know what he said before the war? He said it's going to be a massacre that would be remembered, like the Tartar massacres and the Mongolian massacres. It would be a massacre that, in a scales that there, in magnanimous scales, like that's what he promised. Like, this was the promise to massacre all the Jews, and they failed.
But that didn't happen. Yeah, miserably failed. Okay, so there's no point in
sad, so
crying.
Sad. Why? Like, just like that's what I said. Like, you have to look at those things from an Islamic point of view. Their Nakba is the failure to kill.
Okay. Anyway, so I'm done with my questions, and I think we can go with the questions and the comments by the audience. How about that? Yeah. Do you have any closing statement or something to conclude this part?
Can we have a minute of music so I can?
Sure. Which music? No copyright music. The Arab Nasheed will do.
No, just something, because you just take it. I'll be right back in a minute, because it's been like an hour and a half, and I've been drinking.
Sure. Please go on.
So, yeah.
So we have completed the initial question, and we'll be back with the opinions and the questions from the audience, and she'll be back here in a moment. She wanted to take some water. So there are a few questions and some comments here, and we'll go through that once she's here. She's back. And yeah. So how do you feel? Please give your feedback in the comment section. And also about the nasheed that you're listening. This is something which we always use to trigger the believers, the Islamic believers. So they enjoy the show just because of this music. They will think that this is something Islamic. That's the idea behind this music. So please bear with that. And I'm saying this for the audience who have joined us for the first time, because it's something which is so usual in our place, in my shows otherwise. But this is something which I have few other places too where it's streamed now. So for them, it will be something new. That's why. So please let me know your opinions, your comments. And there are some people who are making a lot of noise. We'll come to them, come to you, don't worry. Okay, so are we done? Shall we?
Yes.
Okay, so you're here. So welcome back. So just before going to the calls, let me just read out a few comments which I have starred here. So that's the end of the music, the nasheed. The nasheed is for the believers here, because they will think that this is something for them. At least by that reason, they will start listening. So it's a question for you. I think you can see it here. It's a question to Rebecca. Why can't Israel stop Hamas from hijacking 8 trucks? Why is Hamas still capable of doing such things? Adwait is asking.
They have guns.
Hmm.
They have guns.
So, who is driving the truck? The normal people? Not the IDF. IDF don't have good
No,
drivers.
Arabs, and they get also beaten up and stuff. Did you see it? Like with the Egyptian, there was a videos from Egyptian
Yeah, yeah.
drivers who show how.
Yes. Okay, I've seen that.
Yeah, the only way is to seize Gaza completely and take it and dismantle Hamas completely. As long as they have guns, they can do that.
So I think IDF should open a truck driver regimen for the drivers, and you equip all the aid in a specific some military trucks so that that can be delivered safely. I think
Yeah,
that's the only
right.
way by which
Fuck that.
this can be
Let the
completed.
Palestinians try to work out the technology to do that. We spent so much money on them and they don't deserve it.
Okay, so that's the economic part. Okay, let's leave that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't
we have
think
another
they should. I think
Yeah.
the other way around. It's like,
Yeah.
I
Another
don't
question
know,
we have
something
is
productive for once.
sorry. Another question for you is here. That's what are the privileges given to Arabs who hold Israeli passport?
Where they can travel with Israeli passport easier.
Do they know by Israeli that identity?
What do you mean?
Are they Israelis by nationality?
Yeah, like me. Yes.
Okay, like you, like a Jew. Okay, absolutely. Thank you so much for. And what are the privileges above a Jew?
I mean everything. They have an option to not be part of a death cult. They have choice.
What about the IDF, the compulsory military service?
They can go serve.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and they have the option not to serve.
They have choices.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's
more
a
choices
problematic.
More choices
More
than
choices. It's more like it's the best. If you're an Arab, it's the best thing. It's the best thing to be as an Arab. As an Israeli Arab. Yeah, they have an. I mean, no, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
That it's better than being a Jew, but Arab Zabda, like they would be called like Arab, the cream Arabs. They have like a lot of nicknames in the Arab world. The lucky Arabs, the rich Arabs.
Lucky Arabs. Oh, okay.
I mean,
among the Arabs.
Yeah, like the cream Arabs, like the Arabs that have everything, like their life is good, Arabs.
Okay. And how about the civil rights and some of the secular rights which is governed, which is governing these believers or the citizens? Is there any difference for being a Jew and an Arab or a non-Jew where the laws are different?
There are several things, but it's not like interesting.
Discriminatory, anything?
It's just like they're good, they're lucky, they live a good life. Good for them.
So there's nothing to.
And they usually drive. Usually they wear better clothes than the Jews. They say you can recognize them.
Okay, so there's nothing.
And they like luxury cars more.
Okay, got it. So now we have another for you. This is about the comment that I made. You are so rude. So at times. So this is something
Shana, I wouldn't make assumptions on what my mom and my dad are like. I would switch, actually, maybe. Okay, I mean, and also it's not true in general.
Oh, okay.
But my mom,
anyway,
I
was there at her home, brutal. But I can.
Out of these two, my mom is more.
I can vouch for Shauna anyway. Anyway, so. And something it's here. Question is this: when India, America, and Israel have to team up to colonize Britain, who gets Wales, who gets Scotland, and who gets England? What is the England thing going on in your profile? What's the buzz over there?
Britain? Oh, yeah. Have you been there?
UK. No, dead. Next year. I'm planning a tour on to the countries ruined by Islam.
It's
ഇസ്ലാം
scary.
കുളം തോണ്ടിയ
It's
രാജ്യങ്ങൾ.
dirty. It's trash everywhere.
Okay.
People are miserable, hopeless.
So you
Sad.
fear that that can happen in Israel if Israel is taken over by the Arabs, the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yeah. Well, they're not good with like. I think I said it like in my video, like. In Egypt, they go around and they're yellow because their water is contaminated, and it's because they're not good with running societies. And you know, Britain used to be clean, and you had like facilities. When you get Muslims that take over, then you're not gonna have the same facilities, and you're not gonna have the same living standards, and it's not the same management, and nobody cares about nobody. They only care about themselves.
Okay. Anyway, the specific answer to Shona about the question here, who gets England? That I can say. India gets England because we
I
had
think it's. But I
we
think
have a good relation
we-
with UK. England is for
All
us. Okay, rest you can decide. No
I want to
problem.
get Scotland.
Okay, granted.
So
Okay.
America gets Wales. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, another one is it's for you, Charlie.
Hey,
Thank you, Charlie,
Charlie,
for
thank
that. Yeah, just a hello and support from Canada to your dynamic duo. Happy Jerusalem Day tomorrow. Oh, what's that? What is
Thank
Jerusalem
you.
Day?
Jerusalem Day. I think it's the. It's a good question. I know where there is also the Segad in Jerusalem. What do we celebrate? I
Chat
forgot.
GPT. Chat GPT. Jerusalem Day.
No, is it the unification of Jerusalem?
Okay, you have time while we answer this question. How is the life of Muslims who are living in Israel? Are they safe in your country? We already mentioned about the Muslims, the life of Muslim in Israel. There's nothing much to talk
it's
about it.
unification.
Unification of Jerusalem. Okay, so there's nothing talk worthy about the life of Muslims in Israel, except for the fact that the Arab Muslims, Israeli Arab Muslims, they are the privileged Arabs in the Arabic world, the Arab world, where they can travel with the passport and they will have an elite. That kind of a privilege, that kind of a confidence that they themselves carry. And even I have a few friends over there where I met them during my visit to Israel, and they also said the same thing. And I know how they find that because many of their children were studying in Haifa, and they were having a beautiful life over there. They work, some of them work in Haifa, in some other parts too, and they're all happy. And when I asked them about the miserable state of the people in Gaza, they were like, we don't know for what hell reason these people came and attacked Israel on October 7th. That's a question that they asked me. And I was literally understanding their pain, because that's something which, if every Muslim or every Gazan asks the same question, there won't be a October 7th happening over and over, because what the Hamas leaders are saying is that this is just one, and after this we will have more October 7th. This is what they are saying. And on that phase, when comments like these come up from Israeli Muslims living in Israel, Tel Aviv, Haifa and all, that's something so different. And I wish Gazans listen to them, because there are good people living in Israel, Arab Muslims living in Israel. So this is a shout out to them. I wish I could publish the talks which I had with them, because they were telling me there's no option of doing that, because if they do it, some of their relatives are living in West Bank and in other places, and if they do it publicly, they will be in the danger. So that's the reason what they told me. So that's the only reason why even I am not able to even publish a photograph with them. So I have still the photos with me on my mobile. So let it be there. That's a good memory. And I think visiting the place and to understand the ground reality from the face of the war zone and the country where you are accusing a lot of misinformation and all, that's the best way to go there and see the reality. And I did that. Anyone can do that. Israel provides visas for anyone willing to visit Israel other than any terrorist activities. You will be in trouble if you plan something like that. So go and visit Israel. Jerusalem is a nice place. Okay. So another one, the Khartoum resolution: no peace, no negotiations, and no recognition. This is something which we always
the
forget
Khartoum.
about. Yeah, Khartoum resolution.
The three no's.
3 no's, yeah. So this point, when I came to realize this was something like an epiphany for me. Like for a whole period of my life, like living as a Muslim, we were always told that we always stood for peace, and Islam is peace, and we always dream about the peace. And what the Arabs did for the conflict, to end the conflict, was this one, the Khartoum resolution. And what was mentioned in it? It was 3 no's. And the 3 no's were this: no peace, no negotiations, and no recognition of what? Of Israel, of a Jewish state. And what is the solution for them? From the river to sea, Palestine will be free. That means a complete annihilation of a Jewish state, because they were not willing to have a Jewish state in an Arabic place. So that's something which I cannot stomach at that point of time. And that's one moment in my life where I decided to learn more and to unlearn the peaceful teachings that I got from my Friday sermons in my masjid. And now I'm an ex-Muslim. So that was one beginning of the whole process, the transformation. And now I'm also supporting Israel just for these kind of facts. Okay. Just wanted to thanks Wonder Freeman for mentioning that here. Yeah, another message is here, but it's in Malayalam, in my local language, but I can translate this for you. This is about the wildfire, the arson attack that happened in Israel. So I already made a video about the reality behind this, but I just want to make sure that that comes from you as well, because you are someone who is living there. I made a video from by interviewing a Malayali living in Israel, and she was giving the real the narrations from what's going on over there, the official information. So can you please say something about the wildfire?
It was very wild.
I knew that. And it was hot.
It was so hot.
Yeah, and
Depressing day. And I had an argument.
Was
with
it
the person.
was the fire by Allah, or was the fire by the goons of Allah? That's the question.
Allah would help.
So okay, we will cut it short. Muhammad Suhail, the real believer over here, I will add a music, because then only he will understand that. He needs this nasheed. So, dear Muhammad Suhail, what happened in Israel, which you call as a wildfire, was not a wildfire. It was an arson attack, which was done by some of the Gazans who volunteered as the goons of Allah, and they came out with some torches and they started the fire. And that was caught on camera, and that was made public, and thus that goon was visible all over the world, exposed all over the world. And finally Israel could control the fire, and that was with the help of the God, the Israelis, the Jewish God, that is the Yahweh. So that was a fight between Allah versus Yahweh, and Yahweh won. So that was 1-0. Okay, Yahweh won, Allah failed. So that's the answer for you. Okay, thank you so much. And done with the music. Nasheed. So this one, people who want 4 wives are, I think this was something accidentally made us start comment. This is something pretty known in an Islamic setting. There's nothing new in that. Okay, we will just skip that. Sorry for that. And there are, yeah, that's something different. How Israelis see China. Do you have any relation with China?
I think for most Israelis, like it's something that they don't really comprehend. China. It's like, okay, China is versus the US.
Okay.
And it's like, it's just.
Okay, it's like A equal to B, B equal to C, therefore B equal to C. It's something like that.
Yeah, like it's
okay.
It's
China
one
is
of
an
those
enemy
things
for
like,
the US, so China is an enemy for the Israel. That's it. So simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very easy. things are very certain and so easy.
You don't have to think all the time. Sometimes like.
Okay. Okay, there's a new comment over here. US and Israel will likely have to debate over Scotland, although if you throw in North Ireland with Wales, you could probably win. Okay, we will decide it later.
Thank you for the tips, Shauna.
Yeah. Okay, so another one is from no one. Palestinians are not work shy. They did all the labor in Israel. Israel banned them from free trade, airports, etc. They couldn't create jobs, etc., etc. So what's it? Do you have any idea of
that's
this? I've
Just
been
be-
to one of the kibbutz. I'll give an answer to this if you allow. Okay, I've been to one of the kibbutz in Israel in the region close to Gaza. That's the Neri and what's the name of that kibbutz?
Nirim?
Kibbutz near to that
I don't know.
Oz something Oz Neros.
Nero.
Yes, Neros kibbutz.
They
yeah.
were
So-
super leftists, weren't they?
Yeah,
Are those
that was the
ones?
kibbutz where the Gazans,
Am I
the
wrong?
terrorists from the Gazans, they started the attack. They came first to this kibbutz, and that was the place where two of our citizens from India were trapped in one of the houses over there, and they were literally saving the lives of two elderly people, and they are now called as the angels in Israel. So we have the names of them, that is Mira and two people. I forgot the second name. Anyway, these are the two people. So Sabida and Mira, these are the two people. So I've been there and I know what happened over there, because there are photographic video footages where people, Gazans, who were inside as working as helpers and farm workers and other jobs inside the kibbutz, helping the people who were coming from Gaza to open the gates, which were controlled electronically, and they were also having an electric fencing. So they knew at what point these will be off, what point the gates will be opened, and all this information were shared with the people outside. And with this help, they gained entry to the kibbutz, and they were able to take hostages. They were able to loot the kibbutz. They were able to burn the kibbutz, and many people were killed in that kibbutz. So this is what happened. So when you say that, of course, people from Gaza were working inside Israel, and the moment October 7th happened and people were getting killed, massacred in October 7th, that day in the festival and in other places, Israel was not focusing on catching some of the workers who are already working in Israel and killing them. That was not done by Israel. That's not the way you respond to a terrorist attack. That was not done by Israel. What they did was they banned these people, because there's no way to identify among all these workers who are gonna perform this insider job, who are gonna do this terrorist activity, who are the real humans. There's no way by which you can understand. There's no mechanism to know any test or any screening mechanism for knowing this. So there's only one rule of thumb. Anyone from Gaza is a terrorist. That's the only rule. They applied that and they sent them back. Now they're completely banned. And we now, living in India, we have the official communication from here, where there are some channels by which workers, laborers from India are now taken to Gaza, Israel for work, manual labor and many other labor. So that's happening now. And it's not just India. We have many other countries who are in agreement with Israeli government, where people are now taken in for their purposes, because they trust us more than you. This is what happened. And that's not the fault of us. It's your fault. You failed. You broke the trust. You breached the trust. And I even spoke to an Israeli who was the family member of a hostage. And I asked him, were you a leftist or a right-winger? What was your position before this attack? He told me he was a leftist, and he was working for the Gazans. Like, he always, every day he went to the border and he took people from Gaza who were ill for chemotherapy, for dialysis, and he was transporting these people from Gaza to Israeli hospitals, giving free treatment in Israeli hospitals and sending them back on every day. And this same person's family members were massacred and abducted, and still they are living in the dungeons of Gaza. This is what they did. So what he told me was something like, it was so touching. He told me that it's not the cruelty of the massacre or the blood or anything that caught or gave me the pain. It's the breach of the trust. It's the breach of the love that we showed them. That was more painful than the real wounds that they brought on us. This is what he was telling me. So, and this was recorded and it was published on my channel itself. You can go and watch that. He was telling that. So now imagine, it's not just about the jobs, not just about creating opportunities or anything. Bullshit. First, you learn to keep the trust. Without trust, no one will help you. No one will live with you. There's nothing called a coexistence without trust. So you are just toying with trust. That's it. I think that will do. Okay, anything to add on to that?
I mean, if they're such a great labor, like why isn't the whole world like fighting to get that? Everybody wants good labor.
Of course,
But
things must be get done.
but even so, it's like it's a small percentage, right? It's not everybody.
Yes. Okay, so I think we can take a few calls. Do you have time? Maybe 30 minutes?
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it. I just am afraid for my camera battery, so maybe I'll just you know what? I'll prepare a backup camera.
Sure, you
I'll
can.
just and
So-
and then in the worst case scenario, if like my camera detaches, then
That day when I was there, also, I asked you to buy a external power bank. What do you say? The
right,
USB.
and I forgot.
You have to do that because there's
And
an
I
option for that.
forget.
Dummy battery. I'm using that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
know
so you
it
have to-
exists. But
Okay, anyway.
do I know good enough to remember?
Okay, so let's take the calls. You can call. If anyone is awake, you can call. And I was getting a few calls in between. So this is the number which is displayed here, +91 9072 555 001. You can call and I'll take the call and you can talk to Rebecca. You can speak directly. You can ask and beat her. The call is here. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is this Arif from the live with Rebecca Bassef?
Yep. Arif speaking. Rebecca is here. She's listening to you. May I know you? Who are you?
Yeah, so I'm the guy who's no one.
Ah, great. Thank you so
Hi,
much for
Noah.
joining with us.
Yeah.
Can you hear Rebecca?
Hi. Sorry. Yeah. This is for both of you actually, because I think both of you have knowledge. So I just want to say I'm not Palestinian. I'm a British Indian.
Mm-hmm.
I really respect Israel with a lot of. I really respect Israel, and I really respect Jewish people. And my only criticisms of Israel was that I always thought, looking at the resources that I had available, that Israelis did a lot to restrict the ability of Palestinians to develop an independent economy. That's why. Because they heavily controlled exports and imports. And they obviously didn't let Palestinians have access to free trade via, seaports. They didn't have access to, their airspace. Also, under the Oslo Accords, Palestinians couldn't have their own currency. Moreover, Palestinians also had to get Israeli permission to develop new broadband. For example, there was this whole controversy about 4G and 5G. And I'm just saying, in conditions like this, is it really possible for Palestinians to actually develop a successful economy?
Okay.
I mean,
Rebecca, please go ahead.
so the Palestinians had the most, even though there were things that were limiting them, mainly to make sure that they wouldn't have access to things that would be terrorism, right? So that's the reality of it. They just
No one.
and
Can you hear what Rebecca is saying? There's noise coming from there.
1 second, I'm just going to go somewhere where there's better connection.
Okay.
Wait, I'm almost there.
Sure. We'll add a music.
Yeah, I'm in a place with better connection now.
Okay.
Sorry, continue.
Okay. Rebecca, please go on.
So basically, all those things, they sound like why arbitrary, but they're not. They're to make sure there's surveillance on terrorism attempts, even like they think about money, right? So Israel, for example, is now like what they're doing is like they're canceling some notes, not some cash notes. Like I don't know if they went through with it, but that's the idea, right? If they know like that some series of money that was printed is used heavily by terrorists, they can cancel it, for example. And it's even then it's problematic. But like basically there is a limitation on import and exports because of the usage of the import and export. Unfortunately, they prove time and time again that they focus on not using most things that they import and export for anything but terrorism.
The thing is, I just disagree with.
I know.
Sorry, I completely agree with what you said.
I know, and then you asked about like how technically could they still like have a thriving economy, right? Without
Yes, exactly. Go ahead. Yes, I'm listening to that.
So, first of all, like one of the things is like there are a lot of things that like the way they managed themselves was completely irresponsible. But even so, even with everything, they still could have tourism. They still had like hotels. They still could work online. They still could have factories or service kind of. They could have like they could have been also a tax haven, right? They could have been a lot of things, and they have so much support from around the world that they could have leveraged, but they chose not to. And we have to remember, like, why is India not, like, you can also ask, like, why is India not rich? Being rich is not easy, but they had a life quality that is way higher than any other Arab country, almost except for those who have oil, even with all those limitations.
No, I do 100% agree with that. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. I won't take up too much time, but yeah, thank you so much for sort of clearing that up.
Thank you so much, Novan, for calling. I hope you enjoyed this conversation.
And believe me, if I chosen that way, Israel would have been the first country to do whatever they could to help them be productive. And there were so many initiatives, so many Israeli companies that wanted to have
the only reason why.
Places.
Yes, I saw that where Israel was helping the West Bank with high tech. I've read some stuff about that, but the only thing that shocks me is when I see like fellow Palestinians and Arabs in the UK. A lot of them are very, very intelligent, and a lot of them are highly skilled. Like even in my university and all of the top universities in the UK, if you look at the amount of Arabs, a lot of them are Palestinian. That's why I was just so confused. I was like, they seem quite highly skilled, but I guess you're right. They use their skills and talents for, terrorist activity as opposed to developing themselves as a people. But yeah, thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Noah.
Of course.
Thanks for joining. Yeah.
Like I said it. I don't know how many times I said it in this live.
Yeah.
People think that they're stupid, but they're not. They're intelligent people.
Yeah, and the best part is that if you want to see what was there in Gaza, the best way is to look at the videos that they make now to show that Gaza was a paradise. Before it was a prison. Okay, who is this? Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to connect on a call with you.
Thank you.
And it's been a long time, and more than a social media influencer, I believe like you are a social reformer with your thoughts, not just in the community, Islamic community, but also across multiple other communities. Right? So that's a great thing.
Today.
Yeah.
That's Rebecca. And
yeah.
I think it's her turn. Your turn is to say something good about her as well.
It's okay. You can get some attention.
Yeah.
I can share.
So my first question for both Rebecca as well as to Arif is this. Really sorry I couldn't reveal my identity because I'm also a media person and I'm a little known in the corporate circles as well.
Great.
So that's why I'm not revealing my name. I hope it's fine, right?
No problem. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my first question is this: as our youth and everyone are preparing for the next phase and next phase of evolution, maybe a social evolution, what are the primary things that we have to learn from, particularly Israel and the Jewish community, when it comes to reorienting the youth, their priorities, especially something that really made me realize that it's a great step is serving in the armed forces, which is something I really love about Israel. And apart from that, what else can we learn from the youth in Israel, especially for India?
Yeah, Rebecca, please
So
enlighten us.
my experience with India is that this is one of the places where I think like I really want to see thrive. I think this is something that could actually save the world, and I'm not saying it lightly. For it to India to grow, and it needs to get rid of a lot of bureaucracy to do so. But I think what I've experienced a lot is that sometimes this thing about bureaucracy and things like that is a bit like it's deflating. And I want Indians to be strong in their faith and like be people who believe they can make a change, right? So I think one of the things I've noticed, and I think it's true for Hinduism, like this mentality, okay, like of a next life kind of mentality. And I would say like you can like refute me, think I'm wrong, but I think you have everything. You have incredible history. You have a incredible identity. Like India is mentioned in the Bible, and like it's just being strong. And really, I think one thing I would say, like being proud of your tradition and diving back into it, but also like challenging it, because I did see some things like in Hinduism that I think had like time proved that it's not the best approach. But so one of them is like exactly that, like the belief that you can change the world and that it would not be easy, but you need to do it anyway. And the community to be smart enough to accept those who also fail.
Thank you, Rebecca. And now I can ask one specific question, which is much more specific from what you have answered. So one aspect of extremism, especially when it comes to Islamic extremism, when it happens, what happens on the other side is that this particularly happened to me during my younger age. So when there is a side that attacks certain community, and in that certain community also some kind of extremism occurs, right, as a kind of reciprocal measure towards the other side. So what is the right approach for youth to adhere to so that they don't rise? Answer for extremism is never extremism. That's what something I believe after like I turned like a bit old and matured. So in that particular way, what do you recommend, what you and Arif recommend would be the right measure to combat extremism without diving into the same ideology or a similar reciprocal approach?
So extremism, if you ask me, happens when you don't know your identity and you don't know the core values. So you go to extremism because it's reactionary. And I say, don't be reactionary, know who you are, and don't change, right? So there is no reason for it to react. If your laws say, for example, you believe that rape is not allowed, and if somebody does that, this and that is the punishment, and this is how you should be reacting. This is how you should be reacting, right? You follow through.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about extremism. It's like, okay, in that case, my belief is that this is the proper reaction. It's regardless of it's not reactionary in a sense that, oh, it just happened to me and I want to like revenge. It's like, no, the proper punishment for this and this and that is that. The proper, like, it's not something that that is like, okay, you turn extreme, is that you never compromise on your value system, and you never compromise on the law and the morals and the way, like, and following through, right? And setting boundaries that you don't compromise on.
Yeah.
Right, perfectly said.
Yeah.
So I'm not extending much, but this is my last question. So in that phase, what we usually face is a barrage of lies. For instance, I saw in one among the comment section wherein Israel is constantly blamed for being the extremist at all times. In Malayalam, I saw a comment out here. So when you face a wall of lies, how to overcome that wall of lies? So at times when the wall of lies is louder than you, in case of Israel and in case of like free thinkers. So what you are facing is what kind of extreme suppression, and at times lies are being used and propaganda is being used, and you may feel as if your voice is not being heard. So when that happens, and when it's an individual against many, then you try to shout louder and your voice is not being heard. It becomes even more louder, right? And at a point, like, you just feel like, my ideas are not getting acknowledged. The truth is always becoming cascaded. It's being like misconstructed at times, and even if a word that's been said is misinterpreted at times. So at times it is way too frustrating, and it builds a kind of anger. So in this case, maybe Arif is also someone who had faced this from time to time, and in the very beginning I used to see like threatening comments and things that demean him, things that attack vulnerable aspects like family life, his personality. And same with some of my friends who are Israelis, which happened. I used to be a photographer, and one of my photographs was taken by an artist in Israel, and she remade it in charcoal. And what happened was, like, a lot of my friends out here was telling me, like, why are you doing something like this, and are you supporting people who kill others and stuff like that? But the person who created that art was just a mother, and she had nothing to do with it, even like walls and anything. So at that time, I used to feel so suffocated that, yeah, why I'm clicking photographs and things as such. So during that phase, like, how can we overcome that as an individual?
How did you react to that?
I went silent for a very long time. I didn't react to it. And unfortunately, I was in a Middle Eastern nation during that time, during my job. So I had to lay low. I completely covered my identity. And it was a really tough time. I couldn't do anything much. But I was very frustrated, and there was anger building inside, like, I didn't do anything, I'm innocent, that person is innocent, but it is like a personal attack happening, like, you are like supporting murder, wherein, like, even like the October 7th incident, because of that, it created a domino effect, right? Mm-hmm. So that main event is almost like forgotten. So even in the comment section, there is someone who is like supporting even Adolf Hitler right now. Yeah. Like I saw, like Hitler did a mass murder. So these people just came over there and they did the same thing. So in this case, like the truth is always kind of like covered up in propaganda, and Israelis are those people like who had lived with it for so many years. So for individuals, before like you address for society, and my last question is, as individuals, how and what will be your advice for it?
So to be honest, I would say this is where you need to know, and you need to understand your value system. And I would say, based on my tradition, you know the story of the one righteous person in Sodom. So in the Bible, there was a city that was deemed to be ruined by God. And what happened is that I think Abraham was arguing with God and said, there is no way every person in that city is a bad person. And he said, okay, find all the good ones and get them out. And he found a one person
Right.
that was a righteous man and got him out. Okay. So here's the
Mhm.
thing, right? So we grow up with a strong sense of, I see person as a person. I get to know a person and I think they're good as people. Only then
Mhm.
the other things come second. Okay. There are good people everywhere. And
True.
if they're, you know, and I think I see people as people, and my experience said that this person was a good person, and you don't need to elaborate. And here's the thing: you don't need to explain yourself. And I said, I see people as people. That person was a good person, and that's it.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah. One thing which I can add to this, how to overcome the narratives wall, which sounds like it's more than yours, and it's at times frustrating too. And I think I had only two options when I was facing this. First option is to stand there, benumbed, without able to do anything about that. That was the only option. The first one, and the second one was to just make the noise what you can. It need not be the louder one or the loudest one, but just make some noise. So what happens next is that similar voices will coalesce, and that will become larger. That's what happened. So when I don't remember whether you remember or not, when I started with this, the support for Israel and the beginning of this debate of Israel versus, or bringing Israel onto the table, because that was not the case. It was always about Palestine. There was no Israel on the table. So when I started this, now we have even more people telling the same, and it's just,
Awareness.
yeah, that's all about it, the first thing. So I always say, just be the change that you wish to see. That's it. Okay. Things will follow.
Yeah.
Things will fall in place, because there are similar people who are just waiting for some clue or some sort of a trigger, and they will follow you. That's it. So anyone can start the process, and that can be, if it's you, well and good. That's it. So that's how we do it. Okay, thank you. Anyway,
Great. Thank you so much.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know you personally,
Yeah.
and I know I came to know that you are from Kerala, Malayali. So
Yeah.
if you are there,
You
please
have
leave a
my
message.
number already. Yeah.
Okay, please leave a message afterwards so that we can be in touch afterwards. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Definitely. And thank you so much. And thank you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. That was a good call. Two callers.
Actually, the first thing that, like, the first direction he took you to, I was also thinking, like, you know, the only difference between a lunatic and a movement is one person.
Yep.
You just find one person who thinks like you. That's it. But to
That's
do
it,
that,
that's
you
it.
have to be the lunatic who says what they think.
Things will follow.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are not getting more callers, but we have addressed multiple questions. I think we can conclude and call it a day. And do you have anything to add before we
I had
wind up?
fun,
Okay,
honestly
so-
speaking. And I just honestly think, like, you know, it's time to shift gears
Yeah,
because the world is falling apart.
right. Yeah, so the people
And
can
it's
learn
not
more.
just about, you know, Israel is not okay. Israel is, like, at some point, like, can we still afford that when worldwide governments are falling apart, institutions are falling apart? Like, you know, India, everywhere. It's like, it's time to fight back.
Right. So we are also facing the same thing. Like last month, we saw a terrorist attack in our place that's in Kashmir,
Yeah.
and we were planning a live together, in fact, but that didn't happen. But this happened, and I think this is for good. Like maybe next time we will talk about that if we get some time on your channel.
I
That
would
was
love
planned on
that.
your channel. Yeah. So we'll do
Yes.
that. No problem. Yeah. So for that, I will bring an Indian flag. So I have to buy that. Anyway, I've been invited for the Independence Day celebration for Israel in the Indian consulate here, so I'll be attending that on 5th of June. So yeah, so I'm a guest for that event. So I hope we will get some sort of new experience from that event, and that's something happening for the first time for me. So I'll make a video over that too. So thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining with us today, and for
Thank
all
you
the
for having
audience
me,
here,
and
the
thank
friends.
you for letting me speak freely, because I know a lot of. I don't do what a lot of other Hezbollah people do. I hate it personally. I don't think, like, there are so many rotten countries in the world. I don't feel like this is what the world should be focusing on. How about you start saving yourselves?
Yeah, you have to say what has to be said, and
Yeah,
there's
it's
no
not like,
shortcuts
don't
for
worry
that.
for the Arabs in Israel. Worry for the Hindus in Kashmir. Worry for the women in Iran. Worry for the working class in England. There's so much to worry about. The Druze in Syria, the Christians in the Congo and in Nigeria and everywhere. Like,
So
they don't
anyway,
deserve all this worry. There are people who really, really genuinely are completely 1% innocent who deserve it more.
did you find a strange comparison that was made by some of the Islamists after the Kashmir attack here, that what's happening in Israel and what India is doing against the Pakistanis is something which is so common, and that comparison was made by the Islamists, and that they were calling for the unity of Muslims against India. Even the Indian Muslims were asked to stand against India, and they were thrown out. And now we have a multi-party delegation from Indian government and even from the opposition. They are now touring different parts of the world, explaining what happened. Operation Sindoor, we called it. And that's being explained. So that's something which can be related to what the final caller was asking. Because how to...
I'd love to talk about that on my channel.
Sure,
I'm interested. I really want to hear how Indian Muslims reacted as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, we can. We have to. So we will talk on that. So thank you
Yeah,
so
we
much.
will.
I'm not taking much time again from you. It's already 2.5 hours. So we will soon meet on your channel. So thank you so much for all the viewers from all the channels, to Twitters, to YouTubes. Subscribe, like, share, and stay in touch. You can post your questions. Some of those questions can be taken up for the next event, or even can be considered for commenting as answers at the place itself. So anything can be done. So please be with us. So see you again. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Okay, so I will just give a sum up in Malayalam just before we conclude for the Malayali audience here. നമ്മൾ കുറച്ച് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഇവിടെ തയ്യാറാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അത് പ്രധാനമായിട്ട് അവിടെ ഇസ്രായേലിൽ നടക്കുന്ന വിവേചനം ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് പറയപ്പെടുന്ന ഒരു സാധനം, അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് നമ്മൾ ചോദിച്ചു. ദ അപ്പാർട്ടൈഡ് ചാർജ്, അവിടെ മുസ്ലിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഭയങ്കര വിവേചനമാണ്, ജൂതന്മാരല്ലാത്ത ആളുകളൊക്കെ രണ്ടാം കിടക്കാരാണ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സംഗതി. സത്യത്തിൽ അവിടെ നമ്മൾ കേട്ടു അതിൻ്റെ ഉത്തരം. അതായത് ഒരു വിവേചനം ഉണ്ട്. ആ വിവേചനം ഫേസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എവിടെയാണ്? ഇസ്രായേലിനകത്ത് തന്നെ ഈ മുസ്ലിങ്ങളുടെ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നും ജൂതന്മാരാണ് ഫേസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് എന്നതാണ് നമ്മൾ കേട്ടത്. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ കേട്ട് കാണും. പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് ഇപ്പോൾ ജെറൂസലമിൽ പോവുകയാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവിടെ ആ ടെമ്പിൾ മൗണ്ട് കാണാൻ വേണ്ടി വിചാരിച്ചാൽ അവിടെ ജൂതന്മാർക്ക് അങ്ങനെ തോന്നിയ പോലെ അങ്ങ് കയറാൻ പറ്റില്ല, കാക്കമാർക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ കയറാം. ഇതാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ചില അവസ്ഥകളുണ്ടാകുന്നു. പിന്നെ ഒരു അറബാണ് എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ സജി മാർക്കോസ് രാവിലെ മുതൽ ഒരു വലിയ മണ്ടൻ പോസ്റ്റൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അവിടെ വലിയ പ്രശ്നമാണ്, അവിടെ അറബികളായിട്ടുള്ള മുസ്ലിങ്ങളായിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകൾക്ക് എന്താണ് സിറ്റിസൺഷിപ്പ് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, നാഷണാലിറ്റി ഇല്ല എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് വെച്ച് കീച്ചുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ നേരിട്ട് തുടക്കം തന്നെ അതാണ് ചോദിച്ചത്. അറബ് മുസ്ലിം ആണെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങൾ ഇസ്രായേലി ആണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അവിടെ നാഷണാലിറ്റി ഉണ്ട്, ഇസ്രായേലി ആയിട്ട് തന്നെയാണ് അവിടെ പരിഗണിക്കപ്പെടുക എന്നുള്ളത് അവരുടെ പാസ്പോർട്ടിൽ അടക്കം എഴുതി വെക്കുന്ന കാര്യമാണ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടും ആൾക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവുന്നില്ല. ഇതേപോലുള്ള മണ്ടത്തരങ്ങൾ വിളമ്പുന്ന ആളുകളുടെ കൂടെയാണ് നമ്മളുടെ കാക്കമാർ കൂടുതലും ഉള്ളത്. ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് ഇവിടുത്തെ അവസ്ഥ. ഇനി രണ്ടാമത്തെ ഒരു ചോദ്യം നമ്മൾ ചോദിച്ചത് ജനോസൈഡ് സംബന്ധിച്ചാണ്. ഇസ്രായേൽ നടത്തുന്നു എന്ന് പറയപ്പെടുന്ന സാധനം. ഇപ്പോൾ ഏറ്റവും ഒടുവിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചൊരു ചോദ്യമാണ്. അതായത് 14,000 കുട്ടികൾ 48 മണിക്കൂറിനുള്ളിൽ നിങ്ങളൊന്നും കൊടുത്തില്ല ഇപ്പം ചാവും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. 14,000 കുട്ടികൾ. എന്നിട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ അത് തിരുത്തി എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ 14,000 കുട്ടികൾ മരിച്ചില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ഇനി നിങ്ങൾ സമ്മതിക്കുമോ അവിടെ ജനോസൈഡ് ഇല്ല? ഇതാണ് നമ്മളന്ന് ചോദിച്ചത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനെ മരിച്ചു എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള പല നുണക്കഥകൾ പറഞ്ഞു വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഇപ്പോഴും നിങ്ങളെ തെറ്റിദ്ധരിപ്പിക്കുന്നതാണ്. ഇത് കയ്യോടെ പിടികൂടി ഇത് തെറ്റിദ്ധരിപ്പിക്കലാണ് എന്നുള്ളത്. ഇതിന് മുന്നേയും ഇതൊക്കെ തന്നെയാണ് നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത് സത്യത്തിൽ. ഇതാണ് നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു വെക്കുന്നത്. ഏതായാലും ആ ചോദ്യം ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ ചോദിച്ചിരുന്നു. അതിൻ്റെ മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്തു. നിങ്ങൾക്കത് റീപ്ലൈ ചെയ്ത് കാണാം, കേൾക്കാം. ഇതാണ് അതിൽ ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. ഇനി അതേപോലെ ഈ അറസ്റ്റ് വാറണ്ട് ICC അതൊരു വൻ കോമഡിയാണെന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഇതിൽ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാര്യം. കാരണം ഇതിൻ്റെ കരീം ഖാൻ പുള്ളി ഒരു ഇസ്ലാമിസ്റ്റാണ്. മാത്രമല്ല പുള്ളി ഈ അടുത്ത് ഒരു റേപ്പ് കേസിൽ അറസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യപ്പെടുകയും കൂടി ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള ഒരാളാണ്. ഇതാണ് അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു വലിയ കോമഡി. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇത് ഇസ്രായേലിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഇത് അവർ സീരിയസ് ആയിട്ട് എടുക്കുന്ന ഒരു സാധനമല്ല. ഇത് അവർ കുട്ടിക്കളിയായിട്ട് കാണുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമാണ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഇതിൽ തമാശ. ഇതൊരു വൻ കോമഡിയാണ് എന്നതാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം. അപ്പോൾ ICC വാറൻറ്റിൻ്റെ ഒക്കെ വില അത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ എന്നതാണ്. ഇനി ഹമാസ് ഒറിജിൻ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു മടുത്ത കാര്യമാണ്. അതായത് ഇസ്രായേലും ഒക്കെ കൂടി ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ള സാധനമാണ്. അതുപോലെ ഈവൻ ഇസ്രായേലിനകത്തുള്ള ആളുകൾ വരെ അക്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമാണെന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ പറയാറ്. ഞാൻ പറയുന്നു, ഇനി അങ്ങനെ ഇസ്രായേൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയതാണെന്ന് തന്നെ കൂട്ടുക, ആ പേരിലെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങൾ ഈ ഹമാസിന് കൊടുക്കുന്ന ആ ഒരു സപ്പോർട്ട് ഒന്ന് കുറയ്ക്കുക പ്ലീസ്. ഇതാണ് എൻ്റെ വിനീതമായ അഭ്യർത്ഥന. ഇതാണ് നമ്മൾ തുടക്കം പോലെ പറയാനുള്ളത്. അത് തന്നെയാണ് എനിക്ക് വീണ്ടും ആവർത്തിക്കാനുള്ളത്. അങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും നിങ്ങൾ ഈ ഹമാസിനൊന്ന് തള്ളിപ്പറയൂ എൻ്റെ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട മുസ്ലിങ്ങളെ. ഇതാണ് നമുക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മളുടെ ഈ സ്വരാജിനെ പോലെയുള്ള ചില കമ്മിക്കൂട്ടങ്ങൾ, അതുപോലെ വോക്കുകൾ, ഇവരെല്ലാം ഈ ഹമാസിൻ്റെ വലിയ ആരാധകരാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം നമ്മളെ സുനിൽ ഇളയിടവും ഇതേപോലെ ചിലതൊക്കെ പൊക്കിക്കൊണ്ട് നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യ സമര സേനാനികളാണെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. ഇസ്രായേൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കിയതാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ പേരിലെങ്കിലും ഒന്ന് തള്ളി പറഞ്ഞൂടെ? ഇതാണ് ഞാൻ ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. പിന്നെ ബ്ലോക്കേഡ്, അവിടെ ഓപ്പൺ എയർ പ്രിസണാണ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നൊരു സാധനം പണ്ട് അങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു എന്നാണ് പറയപ്പെടുന്നത്. പോട്ടെ, നമ്മളത് അങ്ങനെയാണ്, അതിനെ ഡിഫെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഞങ്ങൾ സയനിസ്റ്റുകളൊക്കെ കഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിലാണ് October 7 ഉണ്ടായത്. October 7 ഉണ്ടായി, പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ കണ്ടത് യുദ്ധമാണ്. യുദ്ധം നടന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ പിന്നെ നമ്മളെന്താ കണ്ടത്? October 7 മുന്നേ ഗാസ ഒരു സ്വർഗ്ഗമായിരുന്നു എന്ന് നിങ്ങൾ തന്നെ തിരുത്തി പറയുന്ന അവസ്ഥയിൽ. അതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ നിങ്ങൾ എന്താണോ അത്ര നാളും പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത് അത് നിങ്ങൾ തന്നെ പൊളിച്ചു. നമുക്ക് വലിയ പണിയൊന്നും ഉണ്ടായില്ല. ഞങ്ങളാണെങ്കിൽ ആകെ വേർതിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. ഇത് എങ്ങനെയെങ്കിലും ഒന്ന് വെളുപ്പിക്കണമല്ലോ എന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ തന്നെ അത് വെളുപ്പിച്ച് തന്നു. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് പണി എളുപ്പമായി. അപ്പോൾ ഇപ്പോൾ കാര്യം പിടികിട്ടല്ലോ, അവിടെ ഗാസ ഒരു സ്വർഗ്ഗമായിരുന്നു എന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് നമുക്കും പറയാനുള്ളത്. അത് നിങ്ങൾ തന്നെയാണ് കേട്ടോ നമുക്ക് പറഞ്ഞു തന്നത്. അതുകൊണ്ട് പണി എളുപ്പമാണ്. ഇതാണ് അതിൽ നമുക്ക് പറയാനുള്ള കാര്യം. പിന്നെ പറഞ്ഞത് നമ്മൾ സെറ്റിൽമെൻറ്റിൻ്റെ കാര്യം. അതായത് വെസ്റ്റ് ബാങ്കിൽ ഈ ജുദയ ആൻഡ് സമാരിയ അവിടെ നടക്കുന്ന സെറ്റിൽമെൻറ്റ് സംബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ. അവിടെ ആർക്കും സ്ഥലം വാങ്ങിക്കാം. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇസ്രായേലിയേക്കും പോയിട്ട് സ്ഥലം വാങ്ങിക്കാം. എനിക്ക് പോയിട്ട് വേണമെങ്കിലും ഇസ്രായേലിൽ സ്ഥലം വാങ്ങാം. വെസ്റ്റ് ബാങ്കിലും പോയിട്ട് സ്ഥലം വാങ്ങാനുള്ള അവസരമുണ്ട്. ഇതൊരു വയലേഷനാണ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അത് ബാക്കിയുള്ള ആളുകൾക്ക് മാത്രമാണ്. അവരെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഒരു വയലേഷനായിട്ട് അവർ കാണുന്നില്ല. കാരണം എന്താണ്? പ്രധാന കാരണം ഈ വെസ്റ്റ് ബാങ്ക് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന റീജിയനിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ജൂയിഷ് പ്രസൻസ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന സ്ഥലമാണ്. അവരുടെ സ്ഥലം അവരവിടെ ജീവിക്കുന്നു, അവരുടെ ബന്ധുക്കൾ വരുന്നു, വാങ്ങുന്നു, പോകുന്നു. ഇത് അവിടെ നടന്നുകൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അതിനെ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എതിർത്ത് പറയാനുള്ള ഒരു അവകാശവും ഇല്ല എന്നുള്ളത് തന്നെയാണ്. അത് ജൂതന്മാർക്ക് അവകാശപ്പെട്ട സ്ഥലം തന്നെയാണ് പച്ചയ്ക്ക് പറഞ്ഞാൽ. ഇനി മറ്റേതാണ് നമ്മൾ BDS എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ബോയ്ക്കോട്ട്, ഡിസിൻവെസ്റ്റ് ആൻഡ് സാങ്ഷൻസ് എഗെയിൻസ്റ്റ് ഈ ജൂയിഷ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സാധനങ്ങൾ. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അവരുടെ കമ്പനീസ്, ജൂയിഷ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇതുപോലെ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻസ്, അതുപോലെയുള്ള സാധനങ്ങൾക്കെതിരെ ഇത് ഒരു വലിയ സംഭവമാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ അത് ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഈ നമ്മളുടെ US-ലും അവിടെ ഇവിടെയൊക്കെ നടക്കുന്ന പ്രക്ഷോഭങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു ആവശ്യം ഇത് തന്നെയാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു കാര്യം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അതിനെ ഒരു വശത്ത് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ അതൊരു ആൻറ്റി സെമിറ്റിസമായിട്ടാണ് അതിനെ വിലയിരുത്തുന്നത്. മറ്റൊരു വശം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇതൊരു കളക്റ്റീവ് പണിഷ്മെൻറ്റാണ്. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ജൂതന്മാർ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇസ്രായേലികളായിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകൾ ഗാസയിൽ കളക്റ്റീവ് പണിഷ്മെൻറ്റ് നടത്തുന്നു എന്ന് ആരോപിക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾ തന്നെയാണ് ഇപ്പുറത്ത് വന്നിട്ട് എന്ത് പറയുന്നത്? ഇതൊക്കെ ചെയ്യണം, ഇതൊരു കളക്റ്റീവ് പണിഷ്മെൻ്റ് ആണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞത് സമ്മതിക്കില്ല. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇതിൽ നേരിട്ട് ബന്ധമില്ലാത്ത ജൂതനെ പോലും ഇത് അഫക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരവസ്ഥ. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ കളക്റ്റീവ് എന്നൊന്നും പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു ഇൻ്റർനാഷണൽ അഫക്റ്റാണ്. ഇതാണ് അതിൽ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഇരട്ടത്താപ്പ് അതിനകത്ത് വരുന്നു. ഒന്നത്. രണ്ട്, ഇതൊരു ആൻറ്റി സെമിറ്റിസം. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ അതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് ചോദിച്ചപ്പോൾ റബേക്ക പറഞ്ഞൊരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. അതായത് ഇതൊരു ആൻറ്റി സെമിറ്റിസം, ഇത് ആൻറ്റി ഹ്യൂമാനിറ്റി ആണെന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. അത് ഒരു ബോൾഡായിട്ടുള്ള സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റാണ്. കാരണം ഇത് ഒരു ആൻറ്റി സെമിറ്റിസമായിട്ട് കാണുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ വലിയൊരു രീതിയിൽ കാണേണ്ട കാര്യമാണ്. കാരണം ഇത് പീപ്പിളായിട്ട് നിൽക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾ അവരെല്ലാവരും ഉയർത്തിപ്പിടിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു കാര്യമാണ് അവരുടെ സംരക്ഷണം. അവരവിടെ ജീവിക്കണം. ഇത് ഒരു ബന്ധമില്ലാത്ത ആളുകൾക്ക് നേരെയും ഇതുപോലെ അക്രമം അഴിച്ചുവിടും. ഇപ്പോൾ കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം കണ്ട പോലെ അക്രമങ്ങളുണ്ടായി, അവർ വെടിവെച്ച് കൊല്ലുന്ന അവസ്ഥ പോലും ഉണ്ടാകുമ്പോൾ അതിൽ തന്നെ ഈ സാറ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു, സാറ വർക്ക് ചെയ്തിരുന്നത് ഈ പറയുന്ന ഇസ്രായേൽ ഗാസ കോൺഫ്ലിക്റ്റ് അവസാനിപ്പിക്കാനും പീസ് ബിൽഡ് ചെയ്യാനും വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് നടന്നിരുന്ന ആളാണ്. അതുകൂടാതെ അവരുടെ എയ്ഡ് അത് കൂട്ടുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ഫംഗ്ഷനാണ് അവിടെ നടന്നത്. അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ പോയിട്ടാണ് വെടിവെച്ചിട്ട് ഇവരെ കൊല്ലുന്നതെന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ പരം ഒരു ഐറണി വേറെ എന്താ ഉള്ളത്? ഇതാണ് നമ്മൾ ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. ഇതാണ് അതിൽ ഒരു കാര്യം. പിന്നെ നമ്മളെ പ്രിസണർ ഡിറ്റൻഷൻ സംബന്ധിച്ചിട്ട്, അപ്പോൾ അതിൽ ഒരു വലിയൊരു ആരോപണമാണ്. ഇസ്രായേലികളായിട്ടുള്ള അവിടുത്തെ ഫോഴ്സസ് ഇതേപോലെ പാലസ്തീനിയൻസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകളെ പിടിക്കുന്നു. അവർ എന്താണ് വിത്തൗട്ട് ചാർജ് അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അഡ്മിനിസ്ട്രേറ്റീവ് ഡിറ്റൻഷൻ എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള വേർഡ്സാണ് നമ്മളവിടെ കാണാറുള്ളത്. ഇത് സംഭവം അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രൊസീജിയറാണ്. ആ പ്രൊസീജിയറിനൊടുവിൽ കുറ്റം തെളിയുകയാണെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവരെ ശിക്ഷിക്കും, ഇല്ലാന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അവരെ വാൺ ചെയ്ത് തിരിച്ചുവിടും. ഇതാണ് നടക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇതൊരു റുട്ടീൻ പ്രൊസീജിയറാണ്. ഇതിൻ്റെ തുടക്കം എവിടെയാണ്? ചെക്ക് പോയിൻറ്റ്സും ഇതുപോലുള്ള ആളുകളെ പിടിക്കുന്നതും. ഇത് ഈ ഇൻതിഫാദ തുടങ്ങി വെച്ച ആളുകളാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ തുടക്കം. ഇത് പറയാതെ ഈ ഡിറ്റൻഷനെ കുറിച്ച് മാത്രം സംസാരിക്കുക എന്ന് പറയും, അത് ശരിയല്ല. അതാണ് നമ്മൾ പറയുന്നത്. അത് ഒരു ഫൗളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ ഇൻതിഫാദയെക്കുറിച്ച് പറയണം. ഇൻതിഫാദ ഉണ്ടാക്കി വെച്ച കുഴപ്പത്തിൻ്റെ ബാക്കി പത്രമാണ് ഈ സാധനം. അപ്പോൾ അത് നമ്മൾ പറയണ്ടേ? അത് പറയാതെ എങ്ങനെയാണ് മുന്നോട്ട് പോകാൻ കഴിയുക? അപ്പോൾ അതും അവിടെ ചർച്ചയാവുന്നു. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇതൊരു ലീഗൽ പ്രൊസീജിയറാണ്. അവരെ ശിക്ഷിക്കേണ്ടവരെ ശിക്ഷിക്കുകയും വെറുതെ വിടേണ്ടവരെ വെറുതെ വിടുകയും തിരിച്ചയക്കേണ്ടവരെ വാൺ ചെയ്ത് വിടുകയും ബാൻ ചെയ്യുകയും ഒക്കെ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഇതാണ് അവിടെ കാണുന്നത്. ഇനി അടുത്തത് ജേർണലിസ്റ്റുകളെ ടാർഗറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് സംബന്ധിച്ചിട്ട് അവിടെ ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു കാര്യം, അതായത് പല കാര്യങ്ങളും വിഷയങ്ങളും മറ്റുള്ള ആളുകൾ വാർത്തയാക്കുന്ന പോലെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആഘോഷിക്കുന്ന പോലെ ഇപ്പുറത്ത് ആഘോഷിക്കാത്തതുകൊണ്ട് ചില കില്ലിങ്ങുകൾ അറിയുന്ന പോലുമില്ല. പക്ഷെ അപ്പോഴും അവിടെ ഈ ജേർണലിസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകൾ പലപ്പോഴും ഇപ്പോൾ ഹമാസിൻ്റെ തന്നെ ജേർണലിസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആളുകൾ ആ വേഷം കെട്ടിയിട്ട് വന്നിട്ട് അറ്റാക്ക് ഒക്ടോബർ 7 പോലും പങ്കെടുത്തതിനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള വാർത്തകളൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ വേറെ വായിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് മാറ്റി വെച്ചാൽ തന്നെ പല ജേർണലിസ്റ്റുകൾ ഇതിൽ അറ്റാക്കിൽ പെട്ടുപോകുന്നത് അത് ഇവരുടെ തന്നെ ഫയറിങ്ങിലോ മിസൈൽ അറ്റാക്കോ ആകണമെന്നില്ല. മറ്റുള്ള ഇപ്പോൾ ഹൂത്തികൾ വിടുന്നതിൽ പെട്ടുവിട്ട് അവർ മരിക്കുന്നു, ഇവർ തന്നെ വിട്ടിട്ടുള്ളത് വന്ന് വീണിട്ട് ബാക്ക് ഫയർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് വന്ന് മരിക്കുന്നു. പിന്നെ ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു കൊളാറ്ററലായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു ഒരു ഹസാർഡാണ് ഈ പറയുന്നത്. ഇതുപോലെ വാർ സോണിൽ റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുമ്പോൾ ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന പ്രശ്നം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. എന്തായാലും ഇതിനകത്ത് ചില സമയങ്ങളിൽ അത്തരം ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ പാരാമെഡിക്സിനെ കൊന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം, അതിൽ ഇസ്രായേൽ അവിടെ അവരുടെ സൈന്യത്തിന് അക്കൗണ്ടബിൾ ആക്കുകയും അതിൻ്റെ പേരിൽ 4-5 പേരെ സസ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന അവസ്ഥ വരെയുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ കുറ്റം തെളിഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ IDF അവരെ ശിക്ഷിക്കുന്നു, അതിനുവേണ്ടി അവരെ മാറ്റി നിർത്തുന്നു, ആ രീതിയിലേക്ക് പോകുന്നു. അല്ലാത്ത കാലത്തോളം അവരതിനെ റിജക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യും. ഇതാണ് നമ്മൾ കണ്ടിട്ടുള്ളത്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഒരു അക്കൗണ്ടബിലിറ്റി ഫാക്ടർ ഉണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ കാണുന്നത്. എന്തായാലും ഈ വിഷയത്തിലും നറേറ്റീവ്സിൻ്റെ ഒരു വാറാണ് ഇതിൽ പലപ്പോഴും കൂടുതൽ പൊങ്ങി നിൽക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മളിതിൽ കണ്ടത്. പോട്ടെ, നഖബ ക്ലെയിംസ്. ഈ നഖബ നമ്മൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ എപ്പോഴും ഒരു ഇസ്ലാമിക് ഒരു ഇരവാദത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു സാധനമാണ് ഈ നഖബ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. മുസ്ലിങ്ങളെ ആട്ടി ഓടിച്ചു എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഇതിൻ്റെ സത്യാവസ്ഥ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മുസ്ലിങ്ങൾ അവിടുന്ന് ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോരൂ, നമ്മൾ ജൂതന്മാരെ കൊല്ലാൻ പോവുകയാണ് എന്ന ആഹ്വാനം വിശ്വസിച്ച് മുസ്ലിങ്ങൾ ഓടിപ്പോരാണ് ഉണ്ടായത്. അങ്ങനെ ഓടിപ്പോരാതിരുന്ന മുസ്ലിങ്ങൾ ഇന്നും ഇസ്രായേലിൽ ജീവിക്കുന്നു. പോകുന്നവർ ഇന്ന് അപ്പുറത്ത് ഒരു ഗതിയില്ല പരഗതിയില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇന്നും നടുമുറ്റത്ത് അവിടെ കുടിലും കെട്ടി ടെൻറ്റ് അടിച്ച് ജീവിക്കേണ്ട അവസ്ഥയിലാണ്. ഇതാണ് സംഭവിച്ചത്. മാത്രമല്ല ഇതിൽ മുസ്ലിങ്ങൾ മാത്രമല്ല ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോകുന്നത്, ജൂതന്മാർ ഇപ്പുറത്തുനിന്ന് എക്സ്പെൽഡായി. ഇതിലൊന്നും പെടാത്ത ജൂതനും മുസ്ലിമും അല്ലാതെ ക്രിസ്ത്യാനികളും ഇതിനകത്ത് അഫക്റ്റഡായി എന്നും കൂടി വരുന്നിടത്താണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ പൊള്ളത്തരം. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഈ നഖബ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു വലിയൊരു കള്ളത്തരാണ്. അത് മുസ്ലിങ്ങൾ ഒരു വലിയ ഒരു ഇരവാദത്തിൻ്റെ ഒരു ടൂളായിട്ട് അത് മാറ്റി. സത്യത്തിൽ ഈ നഖബ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് എ ഫെയിൽഡ് എക്സ്പൾഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ജനോസൈഡ് അഗെയിൻസ്റ്റ് ജ്യൂസ്, അത്രേ അതിന് നമ്മൾ പറയേണ്ടതുള്ളൂ എന്നതാണ് നമുക്ക് പറയാനുള്ളത്. ഏതായാലും ഇതൊക്കെ നമുക്കിന്ന് ചർച്ച ചെയ്യാനുള്ള ഒരു അവസരമായിട്ട് ഇന്ന് നമ്മൾ മാറ്റി. പിന്നെ ചില ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസൊക്കെ ഇവിടെ മറ്റുള്ളതും വന്നിരുന്നു, നമ്മളോട് ചില ആളുകൾ വിളിച്ചിരുന്നു. എനിവേ, നിങ്ങൾക്കത് പരിപാടി നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെട്ടു എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു, കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ടാവും. എന്തായാലും ജോയിൻ ചെയ്ത എല്ലാ ആളുകൾക്കും നന്ദി. നമ്മളുടെ ഈ പരിപാടി അത് വിജയിപ്പിച്ച കാണികൾക്കും വിളിച്ച ആളുകൾക്കും പങ്കെടുത്ത ആളുകൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും നന്ദി അറിയിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് തൽക്കാലം നമ്മളിതിവിടെ വൈൻഡപ്പ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. മറ്റൊരു ലൈവും വിശേഷങ്ങളൊക്കെ ആയിട്ട് അടുത്ത ദിവസം നമുക്ക് കാണാം. അതുവരേക്കും എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരു ഗുഡ് നൈറ്റ്. നമ്മളെ വീഡിയോ കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾ ചാനൽ സബ്സ്ക്രൈബ് ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ അത് ചെയ്ത് നമ്മളെ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുക. മറ്റു രീതിയിൽ സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്ന ആളുകൾക്ക് അതിൻ്റെ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് ഡിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷനിലുണ്ട്. നിങ്ങളുടെ ഓരോ ലൈക്കും ഷെയറും അതുപോലെ കമൻ്റ് ഇടുന്നതും ഇതിൽ ഈ വീഡിയോ അതിൻ്റെ താഴെ വരുന്ന കമൻറ്റുകൾക്ക് നിങ്ങൾ പ്രതികരിക്കുന്നതെല്ലാം തന്നെ വീഡിയോയുടെ റീച്ച് കൂടുന്നതിന് വലിയ തോതിൽ ഉപകാരപ്പെടുന്ന സംഗതിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് അതിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ഏർപ്പെടണം എന്നും കൂടി ഞാൻ അഭ്യർത്ഥിക്കുകയാണ്. മറ്റുള്ള രീതിയിലുള്ള സപ്പോർട്ട് തുടർന്നും നിങ്ങളുടെ ഭാഗത്തുനിന്നുണ്ടാവും എന്ന് പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നു.